Welcome back, everybody. KCM, ready to go here with game number 1. We've got Mini versus Hero on Retro. Let's get it started. Alright, welcome back, Shun. Glad to hear you're feeling better. We're going to be starting off here. Cross maps with Mini versus Hero. We've got a great lineup today. Royal Rush JYJ, Best Snow Mini, Hero Sulky, and Gameo has been thrown in at the end.
Nice. It's great to see Mini coming back out. I think we do need to see the likes of Mini to handle some of these Zerg specialists, and we also need to see the likes of Snow to handle some of these Terrans as well. I feel like Rush, Royal, and JYJ is quite a scary lineup, though, so Terran's looking pretty fearsome here so far, I would say.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy lineup to overcome. Bisu missing from this lineup here, but I think Best may be a little bit better at handling some of these Terran players. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. Best is one of the best, pun intended, at what he does, which is basically, like, you know, hit them over the head like a gorilla and beat them into submission with zealots and goons and shuttles with high templars. And he's so good at doing it. He's so good at cracking open Terran positions, which you really shouldn't be able to crack open. We might see some of that later on. Right now we see Mini going for that forge fast expand with a probe double a scout to both corners of the map, both threatening a cannon rush if there was 11 hatch, which we do not see. We see an overpull, really nice, safe, tried and true opening for Hero here. Not going to be caught off guard by any kind of zealot pressure or cannon rush in the early game by going for this fast pull, but it does kind of limit your economic potential. Sometimes going for that hatchery first will give you a slight economic lead.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of Zerg players, especially at the pro level, like to go for this 11 hatch, but maybe realizing, you know, this is Mini we're talking about. He has some crazy builds, he has some wacky strategies. Just going for the safer play might be the better option.
Oh, absolutely. And Mini is a specialist in both those kinds of cheesy early game shenanigans and also specifically PvZ. So he's quite notorious for that. So very safe from Hero playing like this. I kind of like it. I also like his Overlord scouting pattern as well. He really does want to find Mini as quickly as possible with the drone scout to just doubly confirm exactly how many Zerglings he needs to make. He knows it's cross map already very early on in the game as well, so he knows that he's got extra time, so he only needs to make one pair of Zerglings before he scouts him. It's very nice opening from Hero. He's going to be using these pair of Zerglings to escort this drone over here to the 9 o'clock as well, to try and make sure this probe doesn't delay it for too long. But Mini, if given the opportunity, would delay this hatchery going down for quite an infinite amount of time, so very wise from Hero to escort that.
Only producing the bare minimum number of lings here. Getting that drone scout's very important. He knows that there's no gateway finished here with zealots trickling across the map, so you can drone up freely for now. I just wanted to mention something about cannon rush and the tech that's kind of been figured out recently about how to defend against a cannon rush as Zerg player in the early game. I saw it on Soma's stream recently. It was him being told by some of his viewers how to defend against it, and it's really impressive. It works so well if you put a bunch of drones together, like 3-4 drones together on a single mineral patch, without holding minerals. None of them are holding minerals, and then you remove one of the drones from your control group and right click all the other drones across the mineral patch. They will hop over like you've never seen before. They just get on top or over top of the minerals so incredibly fast. I think it might actually be the death of cannon rush play in pro play.
Well, it would be what you would need to stop the cannon rush once it had started, because you need at least 2 drones to connect with the probe to kill it efficiently. So being able to drill all those drones across fast would be important. And if that's true and you can pull that execution off, even an amateur player can pull that execution off over and over again, then that's a really reliable, tried and true way of dealing with it, especially if you scout it coming early early enough. So yeah, that'd be really interesting to see if that completely kills that build dead in the water. If Zergs catch on to being able to execute that well.
Yeah, it seemed very, very easy to execute. Now we've got a few zealots, or a couple of zealots heading in here towards the third, but Hero's completely ready for this. He's got more than enough lings. He's going to surround and kill both these zealots. This is a great win for Hero.
Yeah, and link speed just finished up, so he got a really early link speed to punish these kind of early move outs from Mini. Hero's kind of metagaming Mini a little bit, wanting him to come out onto the map with these initial zealots and kind of punishing his follow-up build order, because now Mini's going to have a much smaller force to move out with later on once the zealot legs kicks in. So unfortunately for Mini, he's not going to kind of have the power spike that he would like to have. And now we have the Spire on the way from Hero as well, as an additional macro hatchery being thrown down at the third base as well. So I really like this position for Hero so far.
Yeah, and I really like the Spire positioning we're seeing right here. This is something that I do in my own games as well, is place the Spire in the natural behind the mineral patches if possible, because so often with these Zealot timing attacks, you'll see a few Zealots go to the third, some go to the natural, and a lot run by into the main base and try to snipe a Spire as like the main target for those run-by Zealots into the main. So it's really smart to hide that Spire in a place that can't be surrounded easily and is also not in the main. Just keeping that tech a little bit safer can mean the difference between winning and losing in this matchup.
Absolutely. And look at this. Mini's being so adamant with these zealots. He's also moving out these next 3 zealots to come down here. There's only 6 zerglings to delay them as well, so more lings will have to be coming out of these hatcheries as a response to this. And Mini really wants to force a reaction out of Hero, forcing Sunkens to be placed, maybe forcing a few extra lava to be made into zerglings instead of drones. Mini kind of wants to be pushing his way on the gas pedal as hard as possible, trying to target down this Sunken as well, even though he knows there's going to be a drone drill. Mini's really adamant about coming into these positions and trying to force a lot of damage here, but I'm not sure he's going to be successful. It's a pretty good drone drill from Hero clearing this up, and not many drones went down. I think only a couple of drones, and so far Hero doing a really good job of drilling and killing off these zealots without even losing the Sunken. So far this is a pretty good lead for Hero, I would say.
Yeah, we don't get to see the drone count in these games, but you can imagine the drones are really starting to explode here, keeping the pressure on, keeping that pedal to the ground, as you said. Still trying to get in here and maybe kill a few more lings, maybe kill this Sunken colony. Another drill. He's gonna come down, he's gonna jump on, and a couple more drones here, but does get forced back once again. Still just rallying out across the map, trying to force Hero into more of a response, but I think he's just going to transition here into Hydralisk. He's got his +1 going. Oh, double Stargate to follow up. What do you think about this?
Yeah, it's interesting. It seems like Says Zealot was going to be the plan no matter what. I think that he wanted to double down into that tech regardless of what we were seeing right now. It might line up quite nicely if Hero does decide to go for a bit of an Ogre Zerg hit as a kind of reaction. We have a lot of gas banked up at Hero right now, so I think the Ogre Zerg is a possibility here. We do have 6 hatchery worth of production, which usually is indicative of Hydras instead of Lurkers. So I believe that if this gas is going to go somewhere, it's more likely to go towards Scourge and Mutas. So it's very possible we will see an Ogre Zerg here, and this two Stargate build will actually counter this quite nicely. Although we do see Hero going for some spores to help buffer these positions as well, so maybe we'll not be losing too many of these overlords too soon.
Quite a bit of Hydras starting to pop out here as well. He's buying a little bit of that time with his Scourge, also not just flying in and trying to connect immediately. He's floating them around and getting them prepared to fly in when the moment is right. Here comes those Zealots, but the positioning here for the Hydras is a little bit too good. He's going to lose a couple of Overlords, but here comes the Scourge. Scourge connecting on a couple of these Corsairs, and one gets picked off by the Spore as well. All of these Zealots are going to go down. Oh, this Overlords are a little bit out of position now. Not pulling them back to the Spore, unfortunately. Here we're going to lose 2 more Overlords, it looks like. Kind of for free here. Oh, does get them both and gets out. Not bad for Mini. Really supply blocking Hero here for a minute.
Yeah, that's actually a bit of a really big mistake that might cost him Hero. That is losing those overlords for free like that when they were just a bit out of position, not really covered by the spore, and able to be taken out without losing any HP on those Corsairs is a pretty huge deal, because it's one thing losing those overlords, but it's another thing losing those overlords right before overlord speed kicks in and they're a lot safer, and right before they had any chance for those Corsairs to be softened up to like make them much easier to deal with later on. So Mini's kind of like had his cake and eaten it right now, and hasn't even had to reproduce that many more Corsairs. We'll be going up to about 7 or so Corsairs, so we can keep one-shotting the Scourge out on the map very easily, and also being a big threat to the potential overlords in the future. But right now, it looks like Hero's still done a pretty good job of stabilizing against Mini in this early mid-game phase. So far I'm liking Hero's position. Mini, though, has got a lot of High Templars starting to bank up a lot of Psionic Storms in his natural expansion, but hasn't yet able to... Oh, big connections on the Scourge and Corsairs, though, taking another 2 down and trying to catch them with the Hydras on the flank as well. So doing a good job of mitigating a lot of the potential damage from these Corsairs, but preventing them from coming in here and doing damage to the Overlords for free further on. We should be seeing +2 on the way for Hero as well. I'm not sure what Mini is going to be choice of upgrades. I imagine he's going to be going for one attack and then 2 armor as a follow-up.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I think that we're actually not able to see these Corsairs one-shot the Scourge, because there is air armor that's been upgraded for these Scourge, just to give them a little bit more beefiness as well, make it a little harder for the Corsairs to kill mass overlords too quickly. And the Corsairs are getting lower and lower in number. There's only 5 here, and Hero is going to cut this off, kill a few more of them. Man, that's a lot of kills. Down to just 2 Corsairs. Beautiful play here out of Hero. He's popping out a bunch of more Hydras. I don't think there can be any damage here with these Zealots. The positioning is a little bit too good, and Mutas are popping out. The Muta switch right after the Corsairs go down. This is going to surprise the heck out of Mini, and it might allow Hero to run over this 3rd base if he dives to these Templar.
Yeah, and he's trying to hide them until the last possible second. Like right now, when Mini's starting to withdraw, and now he's starting to move onto the map with these mules, he's going to hide them until the last possible second. He wants to come in and just start swiping away at all of these High Templars before there's any anti-air to deal with them. There's going to be only a handful of cannons and a couple of Corsairs here to defend against these mutas. They're going to come in and kill both of these High Templars more or less for free. Some storms will be able to go off on top of these mutas maybe, but not even going to be able to get any kind of defensive storms out on those mutas as well. And now a huge flood of Hydras is going to be coming up this ramp into the 3 o'clock position to try and bust open this expansion, while the mutas come into their natural expansion, forcing the Templars to storm themselves while going to town on the last remaining Templars. Beautiful storm there, trying to connect with the mutas to try and bully them away, but not able to do so fully, and is going to sweep clearing up all of those High Templars before the last muta goes down. So now there's no storms available for Mini for the present being, and it's going to be just laying siege to this 3 o'clock expansion, opening up with the acid spines of these Hydras, ripping apart all of those Protoss cannons, and now going to be taking up the Nexus more or less for free. So
wow, brilliant play here from Hero. Those mutas, and they all went down, but they did their job amazingly well, picking off every single Templar. He kills the 3rd base. He's even going to come down here without killing the Nexus to try and break into the natural, get as many Dragoon kills as he can, while the moment is ripe here, while he doesn't have any storms to fight back with. I think Hero's just going to take this game away right here, right now. There's really nothing here for Mini. He's going to pop out a DT, but we've already got Overlord speed. I don't see an Overlord in the vicinity, but he's going to jump forward even further, dive on top of these Templar, and GG is called. Hero takes game number 1. Mini has been eliminated already. It's not looking good for the Protoss to start this week out. That is a rough way to lose there. All right, JYJ gonna come out in game number 2. That was pretty awesome play from Hero in that last game. A little bit sloppy, of course, from Mini, leaving his Corsairs in a position where they could be sniped. It's surprising to see the 2 Stargate Corsair player get blindsided by mutas like that and just not have any recourse, but there it is. I mean, if you lose all your Corsairs to Scourge, if you're too aggressive with your early Zealots as well, just losing them over and over again, you are going to get overwhelmed by a player like Hero. Now JYJ, you're going to get aggressive with a forward barracks. We'll see if Hero goes for the 12 hatch, because he could be in trouble if he does.
Yeah, it would be really amazing if we see 11 pull here. I'd be really impressed if we see an 11 pull out of Hero, and he wants to kind of, and that would mean he'd want to hedge his bets against any potential BBS or 8 racks, and then as after the fact go into a slightly faster tech timing with a slightly smaller economy. But instead he is going to be throwing down this 12 hatch. There's no way he understands this is going to be coming. It's possible the Overlord might barely see this barracks in time to make sure that he doesn't take too much significant damage here, but it doesn't really matter. He still might lose out on a little bit of early game potential here. If he loses even just a couple of drones, it's going to be an okay position for JYJ, and if he loses like 3 or more, it's going to be really rough for him. And he is going to see this early barracks, I would say early enough to prevent too much damage being dealt here, but it doesn't really matter. It's going to still come down to control at the end of the day, whether or not he loses those extra drones, whether or not he manages to stabilize and get away with the bare minimal defense, whether or not the bunker can even go down or not. So we'll have to see, but I would say right now this is looking pretty good for Hero in the sense that he did scout it really early on.
We're only going to see 2 SCV pulls as well, so not a massive commitment here for JYJ. A lot of drones being pulled though for Hero. He really wants to get out here, prevent this bunker from getting started, but JYJ putting a bunker way out in the front here. He'll pull back that drone. It's been damaged quite badly. Doesn't send that back home just yet, but will run forward here. 1 drone going down, a second drone going to be targeted super quickly, another drone going to go down here. One of the SCVs falls and all the Marines are going to go down, but 3 drones total have been killed. This is still a significant chunk of damage. We will have to cancel this bunker and send everything back home. But I think JYJ is going to be fine with that trade.
It's an interesting way he dealt with the trade here, because what he did was he committed more drones than usual to the defense. Like he said 10 instead of saying like 7 or 8. But then what he did was he didn't make any Zerglings. He only made drones from that main hatchery. So even though he was committing so many drones to that defense initially and was very aggressive in doing so, he was only making drones behind that. So it did kind of make up for that as a result. And we'll now be making a few lings, squeezing out that gas to try and get that layer on the way as soon as possible. JYJ, as a response, going to be putting on more pressure with another 4 Marines ready to go to town on these Zerglings if they overstep the mark. And they are getting a little bit too brazen coming out onto the map here, so we'll be having to shuffle back to the safety close to this high ground area where they could maybe pounce on the Marines if they were a little bit too aggressive. So right now, neither player probably going to be wanting to take any risks from now on, at least for the time being, because both players will want to stabilize their build orders. But it looks like so far, I would say Hero maybe coming out slightly on top.
Oh, really? Even after losing a couple of drones? I guess so. The early barracks, it doesn't translate well into this command center, but he does have the command center finishing up now. Another hatchery coming down for Hero. This is the Hero that I like to watch. The Hero who goes for the 3 hatch play, or the 2.5 hatch play. The one who likes to macro up really heavy in the mid game, get out a lot of lings, a lot of mutas, get into that late game, and battle it out with the Terran player. He's definitely not a 2 hatch muta style guy. He can pull it out sometimes, but this is the style that I like more from him. Got the Spire here in the main now, getting thrown down. I think that we're going to have a little timing from JYJ. He's popped out a lot of Marines here, and he should have Stim pretty darn soon. There's Ling speed, and I don't know how many Sunkens we're going to be able to force out here. It might not be too many.
Yeah, but on the same token, we did not force a bunker out of JYJ, so I would say this kind of evens out a little bit, and we did have the early ling speed investment from the Zerg player, so this does kind of even out on both sides. I would say this is still slightly Hero favored, but JYJ does have a little bit of a timing here with the slightly delayed tech timing of Hero is going to be going straight into 4X. No messing around here from JYJ. He wants a big Bioforce to move out onto the map as soon as possible. Wants to be putting out all that pressure onto Hero and not giving him any room to breathe, it looks like. And with this 3 hatchery production, he might be able to do that for a little bit, but eventually Hero's going to be able to overwhelm him with that Muta-Ling composition. So we'll be interested to see if JYJ can go out for a timing attack here soon to maybe punish Hero, or if he's going to be wanting to play a little bit more passive initially. Is now scanning to confirm that this spy is finishing up and is going to be USB morphed momentarily.
Yeah, not moving out at all. You can see he's playing very defensively. He's got both those medics and all the Marines just sitting behind this wall. You think he was expecting a possible Ling all-in? Because otherwise, wouldn't you want to move out and try to force some Sunkens to go down?
Yeah, he was definitely worried about that, especially with the potential of this 3 hatch reproduction. 3 hatch all-in Ling is definitely in the wheelhouse of Hero to go for something like that. And if he's not wanting to make fire bats as well to optimize his build order, then he's even less likely wanting to move out. So yeah, I would say this is probably the best play for JYJ here. He's going to keep his Bioforce slightly out on the map, but not really. He's just threatening a counterattack. He's going to keep his Bio Ball more or less where you see it now. Maybe shuffle over a little bit to the high ground, like you see him doing now. If the Zerg does come in to commit to this natural expansion, he will then go into reinforce with the Bio, but he also wants to threaten the counterattack at all times as well. The Zerg player can't see the exact position of the Bio Ball. It will not make him feel too comfortable in continuing this assault, but killing a lot of SCVs is Hero right now, and sniping the SCVs that are trying to build this turret over and over again, getting a lot of value as well for his efforts. So that could be a little bit tough for JYJ to have to swallow that now the Zerg player is not only ahead on supply, but also going to be ahead of the economy, and you're not going to have enough Bioforce to come out of this map and take this 3rd base anytime soon if he does well enough with his Mutalisk Micro. So it could be a tough spot for JYJ here. He's being forced to stim over and over again as well, so those medics are going to be low on energy. And look at this, Hero just so patient, going to be building a big round of Zerglings to come in and just swallow up this huge Bio Ball all in one go.
Yeah, he's gonna get a great surround here. Oh boy, this is not good for JYJ. He can't target these mutas. They're gonna come in here and finally commit onto the force. I think he lost like 1 muta there, maybe 2. Cleans everything up. Now can come back and continue this harassment with no worries about JYJ moving across the map. We haven't built a single sunken colony yet this game. The muta number is still high, so yeah, it's definitely getting more and more favored for JYJ right now. Or no, for Hero right now, excuse me. Queen's Nest is on the way.
Yeah, he's ahead in supply. Queen's Nest on the way. We'll be going into Hive as soon as that's done, and that's pretty much on time. Like, even though he had this really late lair, he's going to be getting his Defiler Mound pretty much on time. So even though Hero had this weird opening in terms of having to defend with these 10 drones, he did remake the drones rather than making Lings. He did optimize his build a little bit. He's kind of navigated his way into a more pretty much of a standard game, while also being able to do a lot of damage with what little he's got in the early game, and knowing the exact timing to like flood out some Lings to swallow up these Bio Balls, doing pretty much what you'd expect any kind of good macro Zerg to pull off. Something like Sulky would be really good at doing as well. So it's what you like to see from a good Zerg, doing a great job as well of just keeping these mutas at maximum range, not taking hardly any extra surplus damage from these Gauss rifles of these Marines, and just using every moment to pick apart. Basically, every time the Terran is staying still, he will be not engaging. As soon as the Terran player moves, he will then be swooping in and out. As we can see, going in for the little counterattack here by the Terran production buildings. Maybe he can take out some of these building these starports as well, slowing down the vessel timing as well as the tech timing, coming into the main base, killing a few of these SCVs, pulling the Bio back into the main base as well. Even going to take a few swipes at those. There's no medic coverage here, so these naked Marines going to be a little bit susceptible to further attacks as well. So really good job from Hero, kind of buying as much time as possible so he can get his defenses up, get his tech online, and kind of constantly harassing and finding damage with his units here.
And this is the time in the game in CVT when we should be seeing JYJ moving, putting on all the pressure, having the map control, but look at this. Hold position, lurkers here. He's gonna get huge hits. Oh, massive hits with these hold position lurkers. He's going to be able to clean up all of these Marines as well. I'm surprised that they didn't just explode there. It feels like must be armor. Yeah, okay, he's got 1 armor. That's the reason. Lurker's running up here to the front. They are going to have to retreat. He's getting a little bit too frisky here, diving right on top of this. He's even going to dive on these Marines, but all the mutalisks seem to be going down. Did you think Hero overextended there? I guess he's going to keep sending lurkers forward. He's smelling blood in the water right now, just going and pushing onto JYJ, but that could end up backfiring here once JYJ has his vessels out.
Yeah, I mean, those mutas do become less and less valuable as the time progresses, now that vessels are coming out and now that Hero's going to be a lot more distracted controlling his lurkers and defilers. But yeah, there is a small possibility that it could be a small overextension there, but he did kill quite a sizable amount of those bioforces. Is still ahead in supply. Now we'll be flooding out onto the map with some speedlings, probably getting crack upgrade on the way as well to make those even more valuable, while also getting defilers out with consume into plague. So I think overall though we should be seeing a very confident game from Hero going forward. He just wants to slow down any attempt from the Terran player to come out onto the map here. We do see a bit of a Lotto dropship play going to be coming up from JYJ. They're going to be trying to see if he can sneak and thread the needle here on the left hand side of the map with these dropships though, but it might be intercepted if he's not careful. Here come the lurkers. They are going to be seeing that first dropship and they're going to be putting a lot of pressure on JYJ. There's only one bunker here as well, so if he loads up these dropships, there's no way he can defend as well. So now he's in a little bit of a tough spot where he has to decide to just fully commit to the defense here because there's so many lurkers containing him.
Yeah, he's got to defend here. We've got the... Oh, dropships are being cut off. I can't believe he didn't go for vessels here. The vessels would have been so much more helpful. He's going to try and sneak out over towards the north and just head directly for the main, but I think that the Scourge should be able to catch up here. We've already got Lings in the main. Everything's prepared. And yeah, we're going to lose these dropships 100%. Here we go. Flying into the main. He loses the first dropship. One of them is going to unload. But this was a desperation play from JYJ that's not going to pay off. Lings coming in here. Going to flood around behind. We've got lurkers in the mineral line. Going to prevent this from dealing any damage to the drones whatsoever. And JYJ is just about dead in the water. Hero is playing like an absolute god, giving us a great preview of how he's going to be playing in the ASL here coming up. He is on fire right now.
Yeah, Hero is one of the most well-rounded Zergs out there as well. Like, he might not be the most top-tier Zerg out there, but he certainly is very, very well-rounded and can play pretty much all styles. And he's doing a great job. He's going to be GGing out JYJ rather effortlessly. Absolutely immaculate play from Hero, showing us a masterclass in TVZ, how to get small advantages with what little units you've got. And a really interesting way of dealing with the early pressure from the early racks as well, committing 10 drones to that defense, but then not making any Zerglings and just remaking drones in the main base while defending so heavily with those drones.
Well, 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 with their Protoss versus Zerg specialist eliminated already, Protoss gonna send out Snow in order to take down Hero. I don't know what Snow can bring out the Mini can't. It's gonna be able to stop this beast of a player right now. Hero is on fire. Seems to be all fit and ready for the ASL. Can tell he's been practicing a lot, that he is completely clean with his play, even holding off that bunker rush in a bit of a difficult situation in that last one against JYJ, the current ASL champion. Just taking him down with ease. Now going up against Snow here. It appears Snow's going to go for a gateway pressure to start things off.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be gateway first from Snow. Meanwhile, we got Hero with a bit of a red line through him as he is in the 12 o'clock position, needing to figure out exactly where he is. Is he alive? Is he dead? I think we know he's alive. He's just so close to death at how he plays this game at such a crazy caliber that sometimes it looks like he might be eliminated off the scoreboard, but really it's not him that's dead, it's his opponents. He's just smeared in so much blood that you'd think he might be dead.
It's a lot of blood, but it's not his. JYJ
exactly.
Has been crossed out. I think that Snow actually messed up his pylon here. Do you see this pylon placement from Snow at his natural?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but that definitely is a mistake, I think.
What is
yes.
this? If you see this as hero, don't you just go, oh, I guess I just Hydralisk bust you, right? Like, what are you gonna do?
He may 9-2 hatch. He might even go for 2-hatch Hydra here. And 2-hatch Hydra would line up with the Gateway first pretty nicely as well. And we do have a pretty fast gas timing, which could be indicative of a 2-hatch Hydra play here. Remains to be seen. But yes, basically Hero could put a lot of pressure on early. So we could be seeing this first 100 gas being going on some Ling speed, and then the next 50 gas going on a Hydra den right away. We'll have 9 drones mining gas in the main, 2 in the natural, and you'd basically be pulling off 1 drone off the main gas when your Hydra range is on the way. If he is going for that.
Snow's just realized, I think, that he's not going to be able to place. Oh, he gets the first drone. Oh, okay, okay. Just realizing he's not going to be able to place his cannons very optimally here, but he gets that first drone. That's really, really big. Gonna lose this probe here. Good targeting by Hero, but quite a few Lings have gone down. He's gonna move around the side, try to get another drone if he can. Looks like he's not gonna be able to. But really, really decent early Zealot harass here. Bit uncharacteristic for Hero to be losing some early drones like this. Just the first Zealot. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get one more hit. Does get 2 shots on that drone, but not able to get another kill. The cannon is gonna come up, but that's a very far back cannon. And the pylon here at the front is really, really exposed right now.
Yeah, and also he kept that Zealot alive in the main base for quite a substantial amount of time, and it actually would have disrupted him wanting to place down a Hydra den if he did want to go for that. Killing that 1 drone is actually kind of crazy huge. Like, losing any drones in this matchup is kind of huge, but especially when you don't need to lose the drone, then you have the 4 Lings out more or less on time. It's just a micro issue. Like, yeah, that's really painful as a Zerg player when you shouldn't be losing the drone and you still do. It really does kind of off. It throws the ebb and flow of the game completely off the balance. I don't know if you noticed, but even though he only lost 1 drone, there was like 7 drones all bunched up on 2 mineral patches for a long time as well. So he disrupted the mining of the drones as well for quite a substantial amount of time, as well as killing 1 drone. So pretty big win for Snow, I would say.
Yeah, and Hero just going to completely change gears here. He's pulled off of that early gas after getting the Ling speed, and he's just pumping up drones as much as possible, trying to get his economy booming here before this Zealot pressure comes out on the map. And here comes those 4 Zealots. We're going to have more than enough Lings here to surround once again. This is a little bit close, actually. This number of Lings against this number of Zealots, we're not going to have too many Lings left over when these Zealots are all gone, but I think he still does clean this up. Wow.
I don't think he quite cleans it up. The damage spread on the Zealots was too great. They all ended up with a pretty evenly distributed amount of damage from those Lings, so without good enough target firing, unfortunately, those Zealots are going to be able to get away and even recharge their shield, which is kind of crazy to think about that he managed to get away with that, but he is in fact going to get away with that, and now we're going to see the Void Chamber being thrown down from Hero to try and keep up with the upgrade curve later on. We'll need to get more and more attack upgrades to be able to keep up with the powerful Protoss units later on. But for the time being, I would say this is looking pretty Snow favored.
I don't believe my eyes, man. How did he micro that? That is crazy. And keep all those Zealots alive. Really, really impressive stuff. Snow gonna get in here with his first Corsair and see that it's going to be a Hydralisk defense, but if he goes for a quicker DT here, he should know that he can get away with a lot in terms of you know, taking liberties in the defense, not producing too many cannons. He's making cannons right now, which I'm super confused about. Don't you just make a DT right here? Oh, he's a little bit late on that. He doesn't have the Citadel. Didn't throw that down at the same time as the Stargate, so you know, there's a little bit of a lag time for getting out this DT. But in this case, when you see no layer, you know there's not going to be any Overlord speed for a long time. And making a DT basically covers all your bases in terms of defense.
Right. Unfortunately for him, he's probably not even going to be able to have those DTs out by like until the 8th or 9th minute, which is not going to do too well for him because that will kind of line up with the lair timing. He might be able to at least use the DTs defensively to not die to something, though I don't think we're going to be seeing that necessarily. What is interesting is that we saw quite a lot of hatcheries without tech from Hero to try and smooth out the economy issue that he had. He's kind of like double dipped back into economy and army rather than caring too much about the tech. So that might help him catch up in this game a little bit, but there will now be a moment of exposure for him where there'll be the Zealot legs kicking in, and this will be the moment of truth if he has got enough critical mass of units to not take any damage to his drone line. As a result, he's going to be throwing down these sunken colonies, one at each expansion at the natural and third, which is going to help him out a great deal against the Zealot composition that's going to be hitting him momentarily. I think he's going to be set up nicely for it. I don't think Snow's going to be able to do too much to him, but if he does make a mistake and there's not enough at the third base, Snow could just come in here and like whack-a-mole this base and kill so many drones, and it might be just a position that Hero cannot recover from.
Here comes those Zealots across the map. The legs should be finishing up here in just a few moments. Zealots are trying to obfuscate on the map, but the Link keeps catching them and spotting them out. So Hero's got full vision of what's going on right now. He gets that final hatch down in the third, and this was the only place I was a little bit worried about, was that Sunken was looking a tiny bit exposed, but now, looking at it, with that extra hatchery, I don't think you can get in there and deal any damage at that third base.
Right, it does look pretty turtled up here. I think Snow's starting to make that assessment himself as well after scouting around. I think he's starting to realize the only way I'm going to do anything here is if I can somehow get a DT in and sneak in with the DT and do some damage. And he might not be able to do that because there is a sizable amount of Hydras here to prevent this Overlord from being sniped. So there's like nothing's going to be coming of this as for the time being. We're going to be seeing just both players sitting back and macroing instead. Snow's going to be taking this false high ground third, his natural third, as his next expansion. Has a lot less gas in the tank there, so it will not support him for too long. He might only be getting about 5 or so minutes worth of juice out of the gas at that expansion, so we'll need to be taking his fourth and fifth relatively quick after the fact, but we'll be giving him a nice power spike in this mid-game phase to keep up with the Zerg production.
Few mutas popping out here, just 5, enough to one-shot a probe. Heading down towards this third base, gonna threaten a little bit, but he doesn't really want to take the engage right here. Flying into the main, looking for some more kills. There are 2 cannons though. Just 2 Corsairs, not enough to really dissuade Hero from going for a few probe pickoffs here and there. But it doesn't look like he's gonna find too much. Snow is pretty well buttoned down in both of his bases with those cannons in the mineral lines. Hydra's popping out en masse. We're not going to see, I think, any Templar snipes, but we may see an overwhelming number of Hydra try to break through this third. A 4th base is coming down for Hero, so he does have that in the pocket. He can fall back onto Lurker and upgrades here with that 4th base coming up. It's not a 4th gas, though, which is not going to net you too many lurkers. Oh, this area here, a little bit of a gap in the defenses. Snow finding some damage here onto the probes in that natural, but Storm going to push him back for now. Zealots here in the middle are going to get tracked down by these Hydra. You cannot engage this. That's way too many Hydra.
Yeah, there's starting to become a sizable critical mass of these Hydra that it becomes very difficult for the Protoss player to attack into that. Ideally, they want to skirmish at range and just keep using their maximum energy High Templars to whittle down the Zerg units. But now these units kind of be coming in again and again to try and take some free pot shots at these probes. But with the 3 Corsairs, they do have to retreat. 5 mutas do beat 2 Corsairs, but they don't beat 3. So 3 is like the ideal number to make sure these mutas aren't going to just come in and take damage for free onto those mineral lines. So wisely going to be backing out with those mutas. But he has kept them alive this entire time, so we could make a few more to snipe High Templars, or we could just keep using them for mobility and harassment, and maybe a little bit of scouting as well. Looks like they're sharking around near the main base area, but I think they just got eliminated by those Corsairs that are now going to be making their way into the main base area, trying to take out some of those Scourge and Overlords whenever the opportunity arises, if they can get their numbers back up. But we see a big Protoss infantry moving across the middle of the map for quite a sizable amount of High Templars, but the Amulet upgrade is not yet finished, so only going to be a couple of storms apiece on these High Templars, not yet the big 3 critical that they need to really start to put the pressure on the Zerg player.
Yeah, some Corsairs making their way to the 3rd base to threaten a few Overlords here, but you're not missing a beat with his production, staying right alongside the Protoss player in terms of his supply. His lurker number has really grown here in the middle. He's going to be able to cover all the bases he's got in the top right. Looks like going for a snipe on one of these Templar, but not able to get it done. Coming in, trying to get this probe as well. Seems like Snow just a little bit too on top of that to keep everything alive here. And back at home, I think that Hero is doing a great job transitioning here. He's got the Hive already done. He's got triple evolution chamber. He should have upgrades here coming through for the Lings as they finish up their crackling upgrade. Just coming in for a little skirmish here from Snow. He's not really looking to commit to this location though. Just wants to pick off a couple of free lurkers here at the front, trade some shields and energy and back away.
Yeah, it's basically the MO for the Protoss player. Until you have enough forces to overrun and kill the Zerg, you just want to skirmish, trade your shields, and basically make sure you're getting as much efficiency with the mana cost of your units as possible. So when the units are full mana and full HP, you want to kind of go in and use those as a resource as much as possible to keep the Zerg as weak as possible. And we do see the Zerg though starting to get really big out onto the map. 160 supply is Hero right now, starting to kind of make it like he wants to come onto the west hand side of this map. But now we've got some units shuffling around to the rotate and start backing off those forces. Zealots and High Templars going to be keeping those units in check and forcing them to have to retreat back to the safety of the Zerg line here, using some of these lurkers as kind of a point defense to kind of create a channel to this 3 o'clock location to be able to keep shuffling units to and fro from this location. Now going to be going in for a big pincer maneuver on this Protoss force, trying to surround it from 3 angles. Slight withdrawal from Snow to kind of recuperate and set up a new positional advantage on the left-hand side of this center, and doing a pretty good job of it as he shovels his goons back and forth. There's a few more High Templars coming from the left and flank as well, starting to blanket these Hydras with Psionic Storms, doing a good job of bodying them back as well. So far has handled this huge Hydra force with some class here, has Snow, as he now remains out on the map in still some control of position here, where he could still threaten the 3 o'clock base. So right now this could be a little bit of a tough situation for Hero, but it looks like with the Defiler Mount now online and these cracklings and Hydralisks coming out in force with these huge amounts of production facilities, looks like Zerg could run away with this game if Snow's not able to do any damage here soon.
Yeah, that was very, very well handled by Snow. I thought there was a bit of danger for a moment with just pure Dragoon fighting against a lot of Hydras, a lot of Lings, and Lurkers running forward, but he handled it beautifully, backing away, dropping the Storms, bringing the Zealots forward as the Lurkers were cleared out, and just handled that brilliantly. He's going to drop some DTs here into the main, kill off as many Overlords as he can. Could end up getting a lot of kills on these drones, but just causing a bit of an annoyance here for Hero, causing a bit of a distraction here while shoving forward into the natural as well, just taking up the energy and attention of his opponent as much as possible. Meanwhile, he's got 5 bases pumping away now with that high ground base in the top left being taken. He's even on bases to the Zerg player. Actually ahead on bases now with this base up here in the top left. Storms just crushing through these Lings, trying to run forward here, but not trading much of anything. Is Hero just now going to have to back away? Eat these big storms as well. Here comes the Defilers. Maybe they can turn the tide. We're going to have to see.
Yeah, he's doing a great job of storming these Zerg units. Really efficient Psionic Storm usage from Snow. They're getting the absolute maximum value from his units that he can muster. Still putting on a lot of pressure on this 3 o'clock base position. And I think he's got a little bit of energy left over. But now the Defilers coming in, going to be starting to put down some Dark Swarms and trying to fight back with some spells of their own. Meanwhile, a counterattack going on at this fifth base location in the northwest with some units to try and see if they can crack open those cannons there. I'm not sure they were being successful. I think they've been completely eliminated as well. So it's like Hero in a bit of desperation now. Not really enough forces to keep fighting this huge swarm of Protoss infantry just crushing its way across the map, heading over to this mineral-only expansion where there's a big storm on the drone transfer, killing every single one of those drones as well. There's a few lurkers in position to try and buffer against this attack and try and mop it up, but it might not be quick enough. They might come in here, and Snow might be able to take all three of these hatcheries down. GG is called from Hero.
What? Holy crap. Snow, the bulldozer, the snow plow here, just pushing Hero aside. That was impressive. I mean, Hero was on a rampage starting out this week, but Snow looking like to be on just a completely different level. Absolutely leveled that Hero, leveled that Zerg player, and moves on. Game number 4. Game number 4 here with Snow versus Rush. We're on La Campanilla. I think we established last week that means the little bell.
Yeah, the little
bell. We actually don't know what it means, but it is this new map with the crazy third base that you can reach behind your natural minerals. It's kind of like an island location, at least until you open up that mineral patch, that low money mineral patch. We'll see how this plays out in PvP. Had some pretty interesting games of PvZ so far, but that extra base, I feel like that's going to make a real difference here for the Terran player. It's a much easier base to take. But it can be harassed pretty heavily by the Reaver play of Snow. So, see how this one goes.
Yeah, I was basically about to say, I wonder if that will, if he did try to go for this early expansion path and take advantage of that. I really do feel like Snow is the kind of player that would really take advantage of that and go to town with his Reaver control that he does so well. He's one of the best in the game at his Reaver control. So look at this cross map scout from Snow right away. He wants to know whether or not his cross spawns as soon as possible. So he wants to know if there's any possibility of being close with Rush here. So that might really strongly affect Snow's decision making of what path he wants to go down here with his build. Knowing that now he's going to be in a close proximity with Rush and have this cross map.
Yeah, he's going to scout down the bottom right as well, so the latest possible scout here for Snow. He's not going to know about this quick command center until very late on. We've got a few Zealots going to be produced here in the early game, most likely, and actually Rush going to head in the wrong direction as well. So this Zealot could actually do something here. At least maybe force this SCV to stop building the command center for a little bit, just slow that down. Only one Marine. Oh god, Rush is getting so greedy here. He's gonna take some serious damage.
This is way too greedy for Rush. He can still hold on here. He has got the Sim City to pull back to, but the problem is that he now could have this command center delayed. So yeah, Snow wisely going to be just coming to this SCV right away, start taking some side blade shots on that SCV, making it pull away and trying to get as much damage done to these worker units as possible. May even get the SCV, does shuffle it back, but gets the kill anyway. Now going to be jumping on top of this other Marine while there's another second Zealot on the way as well. If he can keep this Zealot alive while the other one comes in, it's going to be really tough for Rush to hold on. He's putting down a lot of DPS onto this first Zealot. Now the bunker finishes, but both Zealots can get into the main base potentially. One does get taken out, but the other one is going to be able to slip into that main base. Cause a bit more of a headache for Rush going forward. Meanwhile, another Zealot is en route meanwhile as well. So going to be putting on more and more continued pressure. A little bit of run by. Going to be continuing in the expansion area as well momentarily. So trying to do as much damage to Rush in the early game as possible. He is going to be able to kill this other Marine. So now this follow-up Zealot might actually get something done here now that Marine went down. He's going to be able to get on top of this Marine before he can get to the hole as well. Takes it down to 8 HP, so now it's on just one slice from dying, which means only half of the attack animation to kill that Marine now. It's going to be very easy to punch that Marine even on a diagonal axis and kill it very quickly. So yeah, it's going to be losing that third Marine, and now this other Marine going to be unable to protect this factory potentially. So he may get a big delay on this factory, is Snow.
Yeah, the delay on the factory means so much here with Snow going for that proxied robo. He's going to be able to put on incredible pressure, and there's just not going to be a response here for Rush for quite a while. Dragoon's going to come out to the front. He doesn't have range because the robo is coming down, I think, before range. Rush is going to get in here, it looks like, and maybe get the scout of the main, but most importantly, he's going to get the scout that there's no nexus here, and so he's got to be in panic mode right now. What is going on? I only see one gateway in your main base, and you're missing a pylon. There's a proxy. I'm gonna get cheese here. I'm gonna get busted here right now. He's gonna start to throw down turrets. Look at that. He's got the SCVs already in place. As that engineering base finishing up, he's gonna start the turrets immediately. Robotic support bay is started now in the main of Snow, so he's definitely going to have turrets in time, but I don't think that's really going to matter too much. We're going to have pressure here at the front, and a Reaver is going to be hitting this bunker soon.
It's going to be a really tough hold for Rush, actually, because he is setting up nicely with this little turret ring, but it doesn't necessarily matter. The Reaver can put a lot of pressure on the front still. So I wonder how he's going to hold on here. He's got these two Dragoons going to come in and just tank for the shuttle so they can get into the main base and cause a big headache for Rush now as these three Dragoons start sniping these Marines. Reducing the infantry in the main base is huge. Now he's forcing SCVs off the line. There is a tank popping out, but he's going to get on top of the tank with these two Dragoons. Repair does go down. Beautiful play from Rush, though, sniping both of those two Dragoons in short order. Great target firing, making sure that the side disruptor shots did not take too much damage onto that tank and were unable to penetrate the alpha repair of those SCVs. So not going to be doing too much in the main base besides some distraction and lost mining time here. That's still a pretty good play from Snow overall, but Rush did a really good job of stabilizing against this.
Yeah, some beautiful dancing with the shuttle, keeping that alive, keeping the pressure on here. But overall, Rush has held. He's not going to lose to a Reaver that's popping out right here at the front. He's already got siege mode. He's got turrets everywhere. Plenty of them. And another tank is about to pop out as well. So the follow-up here from Snow is going to be a quick double expansion. He's taking the natural and the third at the same time. He's going to try to probably hit this bunker, because the tank is not far enough forward to cover that completely. But I don't think he's going to be able to get a kill here or to deal, you know, critical damage. He's going to try and drop in the back, maybe get a shot on some of these SCVs, but you can't really get the Scarab to glitch through here if you're this far away from the mineral patches. So he's not going to be able to get too much damage. He does get another Marine kill, and the tank is going to get hit, but oh! He picks up and loses the shuttle at the exact same moment. A bit of a mistake there from Snow. Uncharacteristic from him, but he's going to take that win there and push forward here with the tanks. Tanks are going to get sniped. 4 Dragoons can pick off one of these tanks at least. Other 2 are going to have to unsiege here and try to clean this up. 3 SCVs keeping that alive. Wow, beautiful repair there. A series of unfortunate events here for Snow. He's going to lose this proxy location. This is a huge, huge moment for Rush.
This is a big blunder from Snow. He didn't even kill the tank that he was trying to target down with the goon that was trying to shuffle in for a run by to buy some time to slow down this push so that he could not lose this pylon on this proxy location. But everything has gone wrong for Snow here in this span of just 1 minute. So he is trying to like double expand. He's getting his third on the way, but now losing this proxy location this early might spell disaster for Snow coming forward. Rush is currently ahead in supply and might be unstoppable coming up in the next next few phases of the game. I don't know how Snow's going to really come back from this. I mean, at the very least, Rush is going to be in a very comfortable position no matter what happens.
Yeah, 3-4 factory push here with dedicated turrets and you know, bunkers and everything. He could just break through and actually kill Snow here. Some Dragoon's gonna come up from the right-hand side, but this is too many tanks. He doesn't even get the kill? What? Oh, he gets that, finally. But trading like 4 Dragoons for 1 tank. Not the best trades in the world, and 2 Wraiths. Huh, interesting.
But the Wraiths will bully off the shuttles from doing too much to the tanks here, and they'll also provide a little bit of DPS. But look at Snow just coming in and taking down these frontline tanks. Is going to be able to pick off 2 of them for his efforts. But there is still another 2 tanks left alive with some Wraiths to tank some shots as well. So looks like Rush might still be able to come in here and set up against this cliff edge, which is a really nice position for him to take, and really hard for Snow to deal with this without any Zealots. And he is going to be making only Dragoons for the time being. And now coming off the line with a probe, and to help out with these 5 Dragoons to come and shuffle and back up on top of these. Big mine hit though, going to be going off. One of the tanks go down, 2 of the goons left over, but aren't able to be able to get this tank, I don't believe, with the 2 repairing. So beautiful play from Rush, keeping these units alive, keeping the pressure on. GG call from Snow, well executed push timing from Rush. Big blunders here in this game from Snow, I feel like saying.
Yeah, that was all down to the loss of that Reaver in the early game. He was trying so hard to dance there over the turret just outside of the range and keep firing with the Reaver, but messed it up, made a mistake, lost the Reaver in the shuttle, and it's a pretty straightforward push out there to get rid of that gateway and the robotics facility in the middle of the map. Once you lose those buildings, you just don't have really the production to hold off. I think Snow did a pretty decent job of jumping on top of the tanks, but the repair was way too good. The positioning was way too good. Rush pushes forward for that win. We're going to jump into game number 5. All right, a bit of slop there in that last game. Snow getting taken down by Rush, who's going to advance to take on Gameo here on Invader. Invader is a pretty crazy map. Looks kind of like a Space Invader if you look closely enough on or if you like cross your eyes while you look at the mini map, maybe you can see an invader there. Space Invader. But it's a map with a 2-player map with quite a few bases. It's very, very long distance between the top right-hand corner base and the bottom left-hand corner base. There's so much space on this map. I think it might really favor Zerg if you do get into that late game. We spread your bases all over the place. But there's not a lot of high ground locations. There's not a lot of easy spots to hold with lurker play.
Yeah, right. I wonder if this open ground will favor the Terran in the later game phase. It might very well do so, especially if there's any kind of mech switch or anything. Well, look at this really early drone scout from Gameo. Really wants to put the pressure on this 8-Rex and see if he can get an early SCV kill. When you go for this really like fast, like 9 scout kind of timing, you can get an SCV kill pretty easily like this. And big pickup from Gameo. Not only is he going to be scouting this early on, but he gets an SCV kill for his trouble. This is great news for him. He's going to be able to retreat with his drone as well, and use it in the defense if he so needs. And we'll have an early pull timing as well to help counteract this early barracks. So he's going to be ahead on both workers in the sense of killing one, and now we'll also have an appropriate build order to deal with this early aggression. So I really like Gameo's behavior so far.
Yeah, he's gamed this out very, very well. Rush showed, or JYJ showed the 8-Racks, but now Rush kind of copying his play here, trying to go for this bunker. It's not gonna happen, Rush. We're gonna have way too many Lings out here. We're gonna have Ling speed. I'm surprised he's actually even pulling the drones here. What do you think about pulling the drones in this situation?
Well, he's pulling the drones, I think, just to guarantee killing the SCV before it finishes the bunker. As you see, if he didn't pull the drones, the SCV actually would have finished the bunker here before the Lings could kill it. So it actually was like 400 IQ from Game Mode to send the drones as well, because all the SCV wouldn't die. So it's kind of actually crazy that he calculated that.
And drones are popping here. He's gonna be
He's a
getting...
god. What the...
Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, it's okay.
He's getting into drones, popping out some Lings here as well. Will he go for an early speed, or is he going to just throw down layer here? I feel like early speed works amazingly well in this situation because you just don't have a full wall here as Rush. A lot of times when you go for the ARAX play, it's because you're on a map where you can throw down a Mickey Mouse wall. You got the two supply depots over the barracks and a complete wall, a Ling-type wall. But here he's had to build the bunker, and there's still a ton of open space on the left-hand side to slip through. He could go for a Ling flood here and potentially just kill the bunker and win the game.
Yeah, there's actually like a little bit of a mind game that's going on right now, because on the one hand, Gameo knows that he could do this, and Rush knows that Gameo could do this, but it also is a little bit of like a double bluff situation where he's not going to actually go for those speedlings, but he wants to threaten the idea of those speedlings. But Rush is also calling his bluff and saying, I don't think you're really going to take the risk and actually make those speedlings, because you don't need to. You've got a sizable lead. I actually think you're just going to make drones right now and try and just play this out into a standard game and crush me with your economic lead, which is what Gameo is basically doing. So Rush has kind of called his bluff pretty wisely here, and is not going to be investing any extra into his defense that he doesn't need to, because he needs to play pure catch-up right now and make sure he stays ahead of that curve as much as he can and keep his economy as strong as possible going up against Gameo in a sizable lead here in this early game.
Yeah, Gameo, you're right. Didn't pull that trigger. Rush guessed properly here. Kind of a flip of the coin, though, right? Just making, just making that single bunker and no further defenses. Oh, looks like we had a bit of a connection issue here. Hopefully that doesn't persist. Some Marines moving out on the map now. Naked Marines, though, have really taken this to the maximum. Calling the bluff here that no Lings are going to be produced by Gameo. Gameo going into 2.5 hatch. We'll have a lot of Lings out in the mid game, but right now his defenses are at a minimum. He's trying to extend that economic lead as much as possible.
Yeah, it's looking, so far it's looking pretty good for Rush. He's done a good job of navigating his way out of being behind by too much of a factor. Now the scan's going to be coming in, confirming the spire timing and how much lava is being pulled right now, so we can kind of get a good gauge on exactly not only the timing of the muters, but how many and what power spike he's going to have to deal with, how many Lings and drones have been made prior to this stage. So sometimes you'll see Zergs be really greedy. Oh, look at this run by into the main base with just some 4 speedlings. He'll be able to maybe kill this Marine and slow down the turret timings. If he could somehow slow down the turret timings, it would be huge, but it doesn't matter because pouncing on the Marines is even better. Killing these 3 Marines is huge right now. This is really rough for him. He might even lose this other Marine. He needs to get back to the medic. Oh, barely gets back to the medic in time. Losing those Marines is really critical for Rush, because it's going to be even less defense that he has to deal with these muters. And not only that, but he's distracted Rush right now from not throwing down any turrets on this main base location right now. So the muters might even be able to get into the main base and cause absolute havoc, because only just now are the turrets starting to be thrown down. And if Rush makes one mistake in where he puts up these zoning turrets, he's going to be in a world of hurt after losing those Marines if they're not able to control the point defense accurately enough against this incoming muter force. It's going to be making one of these zoning turrets near the Terran production facilities, which you do need to do. You need to cover your barracks with turrets as well as your mineral lines. So now we see Gameo going to be coming in from the right-hand side, immediately getting on top of these SCVs, not minding that there's already 3 turrets built, just wants to start hammering away at the Terran economy. He'll be making his way into the main base, sniping one of the SCVs that are building the barracks and go to town on the mineral line as well.
Yeah, dealing some excellent damage here to start things off. Wasn't able to get much at the natural. Rush doing a great job placing his turrets so that all 3 are going to fire whenever Gameo tries to fly in there. It's a feature of this map that I didn't recognized before, is that high ground over the natural is a little bit annoying for the Terran to deal with. But Rush doing a perfect job of handling that. And now more drones popping out here. We're going to go for a third base shortly. Looks like he's probably going to send down a drone all the way to the bottom left to try and take that base location. While continuing to put on pressure here with this mutalised force. Small force of Marines moving out here towards the center left. I don't see too many Lings produced just yet to sort of surround and finish off this Marine medic force, but we should see some hitting the field here shortly.
Yeah, I believe so. We do just see the scan coming down into the bottom left, right as that drone was moving into position to take that. So Rush knows more or less the exact timing of that expansion now, and will also be a little bit concerned about this mutaling force that could be out on the map, ready to swallow up his bio force. That's why you see him being a little bit sheepish right now, because not only is there a strong mutalisk force for him to contend with, but there could be the links coming in to support this and making it even harder for him to trade efficiently. So he wants to join up some more bio forces to these Marines. So now we see the two forces joining now and trying to back away these Mutas. The Mutas are going to be swinging around to the wall area, taking out the supply depot there, which will be pretty hard to defend. So he's probably going to have to lose this supply depot, and we'll sacrifice that. Meanwhile, we do see a little bit of a flood of Zerglings out on the map now, ready to kind of do what we just spoke about and swallow up this bio with that mutaling force as efficiently as possible. It's a very good combo move to do against the Terran player, to kind of, as cost efficiently as possible, use your forces to not only get a lead against him, but then have enough mutas left over that you can keep harassing him and keep the map control after the fact. So really cost efficient way of playing, and actually very easy to execute. Even players at lower level can pull off this kind of maneuver. So it's good if you, even if you're bad at muta microing. Looks like Gamer going to be coming into the main base as well now. So
yeah, coming into the main. Can he clear out some of this muta force though? That's our Marine force, excuse me. That is the big question, because we're seeing an Ultralist transition here. Crazy Zerg coming out of Gamo, utilizing that earlier advantage to get into a much faster armor upgrade. He's got a second Evo finishing up as well. He hasn't thrown down even a Hydralist Den here. He's just going to rely on Ling and Muta to keep himself alive until these Ultras pop out. And so far, he's done a great job, but Rush, he could move out on the map here as his tech finishes up. He's going to have a double Stargate or Starport finishing very soon. Nidus Canal being started here for Gamo in the bottom left. He's going to get that third gas up and online shortly. And what I was saying earlier about this map being really big and taking a long time to traverse, we may see Gamo throw down a base in the top left-hand corner, or top right-hand corner, excuse me, as well. So it's just really difficult for Rush to attack both those locations at the same time. If you get that fourth gas online, then the Ultralisk really comes into its own. The Crazy Zerg style can start to shine.
I really do like the Crazy Zerg style, and it's like this could be working wonders for him as well. It's just like Rush not going to be able to get out onto the map to put any pressure on and force out a bunch of Sunkens before the Ultralisks are starting to be made, which can be a bit of a nuisance for you if you are going Crazy Zerg and you have to make a lot of static defense to make that transition if there's enough Bioforce threatening you. But it looks like Rush is only just now starting to come out onto the map. He has got a couple of irradiates to bully back these stack of mutas, but it looks like Gamo is kind of ready for that, and he wants to kind of try and shave off as many of these Marines as possible. Now we see the Ultras starting to hatch out, so it looks like Gamo's done a really good job of kind of getting the right amount of defense that he needs, and he's doing a good enough mutalisk split as well that maybe he'll need to come in here and do a lot of beautiful counterattack from Gamo, getting on top of this bunker, and another radiate is going to be coming down, and a nice little split as well. So it's actually really bad for Rush. He's having to split off his forces a little bit, sending some back to defend while the others are going to go for the sunken bus. There's 3 Sunkens with some Ultralisks already out, 5 Ultralisks out on the field to defend now, with Chitinous plating just now finishing up, so 3 armor now online on those Ultras, the natural ones. So quite a lot of tankiness to these Ultras already. 1+3 against the 6+1 of the Marines, and +2 finishing up momentarily. So it's looking pretty good for Gamo going forward here, and a huge flood of Lings going to be coming in to support these Ultralisks as well.
I love the move there with the Lings, just sending them into the natural. as Rush tries to move across the map. It didn't do as much damage as he probably hoped. I would have liked to see him just run into the main instead. I think he could have done a lot more if he got on top of the barracks there, but the returning Marines kind of handled the majority of that. Now Rush has gone all the way back home. He's just kind of licking his wounds here and grouping up his forces. Now is the time where Rush, he needs to focus on upgrades. He needs to focus on maximizing his Marine medic production and looking for this next base. That fourth base is going to be the point of contention here. He needs to ball up everything and make sure his upgrades are on time. And that's pretty much the only way he'll be able to take any fights with this Gamo army. Gamo's going to have a huge amount of Ultra here when the attack finally does come. And he's going to have great positioning with his Marines in order to gun all of these Mutalisks down, or all of these Ultralisks down, and not lose this force. Because if this force goes down, if this force dies, he is completely screwed. There's no way that Rush is going to be able to come back if this Marine medic force dies without killing a base here.
Yeah, he has to make something happen now. We see a defense mate just come down. Needs to go for a big bust. Oh, he's going to be losing that vessel, though. Does get a radiate onto the Ultras to start solving up. There's only 5 Sunkens currently online. 2 Matrixes have been activated to try and soak up as much of the incoming damage as possible. Pretty good concave from the Marines, but look at these huge surrounding Ultralisks from both sides, pincer-maneuvering the Terran bio forces in complete disarray right now as they're being absolutely chewed apart by these Kaiser blades of these Ultralisks, devastating them, making some Terran barbecue out of them. Juicy snacks for these Zerg units, completely consuming the biomass of those Terran units and kind of getting a little bit stronger along the way as well. There's 2-1 upgrades for these bio units with +3 on the way, but won't be kicking in for quite some time. And look at how many Ultralisks are out on the field currently. Gamo mopping up some more of these bio forces, stopping a critical mass of bio, being able to be fielded by Rush. Now GG finally called.
The Zerg cows overwhelming that Terran force. Gamo milked that strategy for all it's worth. Beautiful surround there as the bus tried to come through. I think the D-Matrix usage was a bit sloppy there by Rush. He had a Marine in the middle of the pack, D-Matrix. It didn't end up taking any damage until most of the Marine force was dead. We didn't see him fly out to get irradiates on a bunch of these Ultralisks earlier on either. The position from the very beginning of the game was not good though. Rush was on the back foot from the very beginning. Got overwhelmed by the Ultralisk transition. It can happen even in the best case scenario, but here, coming from a deficit, he got completely overwhelmed. And we're going to see Gamo move on to our next game. That's going to be against Best, coming right up. All right, game number 6 on Apocalypse. We've got Best here in the top left, Gamo in the bottom right. And this is sort of like an Ascension remake. Remember last week we couldn't remember the name of that map, but now I've got it. Definitely it's an Ascension remake. The high grounds around the map, really reminiscent of that. All of the bases being located on the edge as well. There's a few small changes here, and it's given us some great results for Protoss versus Zerg. Some really epic late games, and we might see the same here with Gamo versus Best. I'm not 100% sold on Gamo. I'm not sure if he can handle Best here, but he did a great job in that game versus Rush, taking his advantages and really mind gaming Rush in the early game as well.
Oh, let's see what happens this time around. I'm not too sure about PvZ on this map. We haven't seen a lot of it. I really do like how these high ground peninsulas could set up Zerg for some nice turtle mid-game map control style of playing, which we used to see Queen do so well back in the day, where he kind of just like set up big massive lurker fields, controlled the high ground in the middle of the map, and just forced you to trade cost inefficiently. But look at this, we'll be seeing a little bit of a threatened cannon rush here. Will he respond quickly enough with these drones to try and get to the back of this line to punish this probe? Looks like he might be able to do so, but it's taking his time in getting the additional drones over here.
Yeah, gonna glitch one over. Looks like he doesn't know the trick. He's gonna get both drones over here. Not bad, not bad. Gamo gonna get on top of this probe and forces it away. Has one drone hitting here, but that's not actually enough. We need to get a second drone back here in order to pick that off. Looks like he's gonna lose this one. 3 HP on this drone. Oh, he does get it. So a drone being lost here already, and the cannon looks like it's gonna finish. 2 more cannons popping down at the front, and this cannon in the back is gonna finish. Oh boy, this is not looking good for Gamo. He may end up just losing right here, right now. Targeting this drone, finally does pick that off. Now gonna go after, no, he's gotta target the creep colony there. Do not hit that that hatchery. I don't know why he's hitting the hatchery right now. Okay, Lings are gonna run back here. The drone's done enough damage, I guess, to this cannon. He should be able to pick it off. He does. He will clean this up, but 2 wasted drones on creep colonies here. A bit of an overreaction from Gamo.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about it. I guess he was a little bit in a state of panic and didn't know if he would be calculated enough to defend with just the Lings or not. I think he knows he had to make maybe just a single creep for sure, but maybe he wanted to make the second one as a backup plan so he didn't just get crushed right away. I mean, I'm sure if he only made one and he lost the game, we'd be asking why didn't he make the second one as a backup, and we'd be questioning that play as well. So easy in hindsight to criticize, but I do understand why he made the second creep there. He just wanted to kind of hedge his bets and make sure he had that insurance policy. But it is going to be hurting him a little bit now with not only the mining optimization as it affects the drones mining and the mineral pathing, but also now having to waste some of those worker units into those defensive structures that won't be useful for him for quite some time. It's going to be hurting him a lot going forward, but has done a fairly good job of staving off some of the potential damage that cannon rush could have done to him, but wasn't the cleanest of defenses for sure.
Third base going to be on the way here. Gamo grabbing his gas as well. Has those sunken, has those the creep colonies for maybe some spores or sunkens a little later on. I would like to see him maybe go for like a layerless build here. Maybe just, you know, get enough gas to get Ling speed and then pull off of the gas geyser here and just go for a spore. Like, utilize those earlier creep colonies and, you know, really maximize getting his drone count back online, really catch up in that production, in that macro. But I'm not sure if he's going to make that optimization. We have hatcheries coming up here. May want to just kill this creep colony. Yeah, creep colony is going to be killed. I think that really in the beginning of this game, Gamo saw those 2 extra cannons go down and he kind of freaked out. Like, those cannons were definitely not going to finish. We had Lings already in the eggs, but I think he saw the cannons. He was like, really? Are you actually going to kill me here with this? And immediately threw down 2 sunkens. We're going to lose an overlord here. He gets the scout off, but this overlord is going to hurt Gamo quite a bit. He's going to be supply blocked for a little while. And Best has really held, or kind of hidden his tech with this Dragoon pretty well. So it's still tough here as Gamo. Like, what's gonna come out of Best here? He didn't see that what's it called, a Citadel. He didn't see the Citadel, so there still could be like a double Stargate play coming out from Best. He just doesn't really know right now. Hydralisk Den is finished up. He's not gone for a layer here, so he's trying to cut that corner. Just use Hydralisk defense, but that means he's going to lose another Overlord out here on the map. He doesn't have Scourge to knock that down. And yeah, I think Best is just feeling really good in this position right now. He's going to be able to put some pressure on with some Zealots here shortly. He's going to keep on looking for Overlord kills. We're going to have lots of Hydras out, but I don't think Best is too worried about that.
No, I don't think he's that worried about it right now, and he's doing a good job of these little like overload blocks that he's doing and supply stacking. Gameo is going to really throw Gameo off his ebb and flow here, and it can be really annoying as Zerg when you're not able to quite squeeze out the production that you want, and when you don't get that power spike of economy by being able to squeeze out every lava that you want into a drone right away and every lava into a Hydra that you want right away. It can be very frustrating for Zerg and really affect your economy overall, because one of the biggest strengths of Zerg is being able to make multiple units or drones at the same time, and if you're disrupted from being able to do that for even just a few moments, it can really throw off the power spike of your economy and army going forward. So far it looks like Best is in a comfortable position, having skewed the Zerg's potential for growth here just a little bit, maybe enough to kind of offset that early game.
And we've got 2 Zealots moving up here. Are gonna get killed off pretty darn quickly. We've got 1 Dragoon being targeted by those Hydra. Definitely the right thing to do in this situation. Try to target down that Goon as quickly as possible. Zealots are threatening here, and Corsairs are looking for kills on these Overlords while the Zealots push forward. He's going to need to bring all these Hydras together, so once again, leaving the Overlords exposed here, trying to fight up high ground, not the greatest for Gameo. He's going to lose some Overlords, I think, behind this. Good pulling back away from these Zealots. Got to pull small groups of units back, and he let the rest of the Hydras fire, but these Hydras are getting overwhelmed here by the Zealots, and as they do, the Overlords are going to go down en masse, and Best is going to shove forward here even further, killing off so many Overlords, and a lot of Hydras going down. The Hydras that are popping onto the eggs right now should be able to keep this alive, but a DT slipping into the 3rd base, and more Overlords are going to fall. Not noticing it right now. Gameo is going to lose this game to this DT, I think. Killing so many drones here at the 3rd. He kills all but 2 and forces the rest to run for a little bit here. Looks like the slow Overlord's gonna make their way over towards that 3rd, but this is critical damage here from Best onto Gameo.
Yeah, Best is definitely in the driving seat from this point on. It's going to be Best's game to lose, I imagine. He has a DT out on the map as well to threaten these Hydras. Going to be a little bit tough for him because he's going to be losing continuously more and more Overlords if he's not able to sit back defensively. I'm not even sure he's got Overlord speed on the way. He probably does have Overlord speed on the way, but it's even possible that he had to skip Overlord speed to make a cut and now hasn't able to squeeze out Overlord speed while trying to re-drone. So he might be in a weird situation where he never gets Overlord speed, at least for the next couple of minutes potentially. So now Gameo going to be losing a few of these Hydras to these Spangatic Storms, which are backed up by a few Speed Zealots coming in. Those 2 High Templars going to be morphing into an Archon after the fact, as the Dark Templar puts on a lot of DPS with that big blade, 40 damage a pop, base damage without the attack upgrade. Going to be doing a lot of damage to those Hydras if they stick around for too long, but now going to be forced back by Gameo with just a small critical mass of Hydras. But for the time being, it looks like Best still in a very commanding position.
Yeah, forcing Gameo there to just continuously produce Hydras is going to be enough for him. Although he did lose his first 2 Templar, he limited the number of drones that could be recovered here from Gameo. Now making some Lurkers. Gameo going to rely on the lack of Observer here from Best in order to take a small advantage. This egg could go down, though. This is not a very high HP egg. He is going to lose this, so losing the very first Lurker, not a good look here for Gameo. He's not even mining gas at the 3rd. There he goes. He's going to mine gas now, so he will have a reasonable income of gas, but you can't actually produce Hydra and Lurkers on just 2 gas. It's just a little bit it's a little bit too tight. You're gonna end up having a big glut of minerals, so glad that he got that gas mining. He's not gonna have that many Lurkers though here coming up.
No, it looks like he is going to be going for a much more Hydra-centric style. When you make that 6th hatchery, you really are telegraphing that you want to make more Hydras than Lurkers. Usually you'll stay on 5 hatcheries if you want to go a lot more Lurker heavy, but he does have the gases available, so he will eventually be able to make a lot of Hydras, a lot of lurkers to complement, but right now he doesn't have the kind of lurker count that he needs to hold this position for long. So if Best smells weakness, he may be able to pounce on this high ground position and just completely break him open. But Gamo is going to be trying to show as much strength as possible on this high ground to buy time for more and more lurkers to be squeezed out here. But he might not have enough time to do so, because while he's morphing in some lurkers, a beautiful side stop's going to be coming in from this high ground position as Best moves into position, starting to completely blow apart the Zerg forces, starting to storm the eggs as well. Double storm coming down to clear those up for their time to morph as well. A lot of Dragoons as well now with the phase disruptor shots in a critical number that now the Hydras can't really fight them anymore. There's enough Zealots and Archon to tank the shots of the Hydra and Lings while the Goons go to town. There's enough of these Goons now that'd be really tough for Gamo to stabilize. He's going to be able to get on top of the Zerg production and start killing units as they hatch out the eggs, and also start to kill off some of these macro hatcheries all at the same time. So GG finally called from Gamo.
Yeah, GG. Gamo taps out. Best with a critical mass of Dragoons there, just able to steamroll through Gamo, who was just starting to get his Lurker Force online. Great storms there to crush those eggs and push through for the win. Best gonna move forward, taking on Royal here in our next game. So we're gonna get a full series, no anti-spoiler at the end. To jump into that next one. Tempest is going to be our next map here with Best versus Royal. This is a crazy map here. We haven't really seen much Terran versus Protoss. We should get a nice long game here, I'm hoping. And get a full understanding, a full feeling of what this map is like in this matchup.
Right. With the cross map positions, I have a feeling that that might be the case, where we see at least a fairly long game from these two players here. At least I'm hoping so. This middle kind of bladed 4-base high ground area is kind of very interesting. I'm not sure how that's going to play out in TVP. If Terran is able to like push out onto the map and have some good map control, maybe this is I'm not sure how hard it is to hold this third base, this natural third in the middle. I'm not even sure if Terrans are supposed to take that as their natural third, or if they're supposed to take this much more distant expansion that's more tucked away. What do you think? Do you think that Terrans are supposed to take these middle bases as their natural third, or is that a bit of a too risky here?
It seems tough, but you know, if we get into those really late game situations, generally the middle of the map goes to the Terran player, and then the outsides of the map go to the Protoss, which means maybe on a regular map like a Polypoid or something like that, there's not too many bases for the Terran player to take, and they are hard to hold because they're so far away from where you're actually pushing. Maybe in this situation, on the map like this, once the Terran player takes the middle of the map, they can actually have a base behind that. They can actually have some income coming in from where they're pushing towards. You know, if he's pushing towards the top right to take out a base of Best that might be up there, maybe he can take that base that's kind of more towards the center of the map, that's going to be protected by his rallies, and take some income behind that. I'm not sure how this is going to play out, but I'm very interested to see whether Terran will take the center bases.
Yeah, me too. One thing we should note is that Best went for a 12 Nexus here against the bunker expand of Royal. So I would say that Best is going to come out on top, but Royal is still going to be in a comfortable position. And one thing that I would say is indicative of them playing like this is the fact that this natural expansion has this cliff edge right up against it, and that's very easy to defend. So the natural expansions are a lot easier to defend than they usually would be. So both players are going to be going for a lot more of a greedier style of playing as a result, and the cross map positions means that this 12 Nexus probably be pretty successful from Best going forward. Royal's going to see that news now as the scouting SCV comes in, sees how many probes there are, and with the finish Nexus, he knows exactly what this is. He knows it's exactly 12 Nexus with a singular gateway with a Zealot. So he knows exactly what he's up against, and now is going to be the test of, has he got something planned in mind for this? It's kind of hard to punish a 12 Nexus, especially on a map like this in cross spawn, so I imagine he's not going to do anything about it for the time being. but there might be some small window he has something planned out in the next okay. So I think that we're not going to see anything crazy out of Royal this game. I think he's just going to try and macro up as well as he can do against Best. There's no way he can punish a 12 Nexus cross map position after a bunker expand, I don't think.
Yeah, we're not experts on TVP, but I definitely agree with what you were saying earlier about this map leaning into more macro-focused play. One thing to note with that high ground is that you can't take damage from an early range upgrade Protoss, because they're not going to have anything to see up the high ground, and if you have a bunker placed right at the top of that ramp, they cannot harass you with those Dragoons. They're not going to be able to force out that repair bill, so I think on this map, the bunker expand is going to be the absolute standard here for Terran players, and as a result, we're going to see a lot of early Nexus play.
Yeah, I would say that's a very astute observation. Definitely rings true with the design of the map, and I think certainly that would be the most optimal way of playing it from at least my cursory glance at the map and how it might affect this matchup. We are seeing a 5-minute, very quick observer timing from Best, so he does want to get this observer into the main base of Royal as soon as possible, confirm exactly what the follow-up build is going to be after this bunker expands, so he knows exactly what he's going to be up against, how greedy he can be, and will also want to be aligning himself with the Terran player as much as possible, because you don't really want to go blindly up against the Terran. You need to kind of know exactly where they're at. If you do know exactly where they're at, then it's really easy for you to get away with a little bit of greed and do the right kind of teching that you need to as Protoss to exploit the Terran player later. So really important to get that information as early as possible if you can, because it does give you a decisive edge over the Terran player if you're the one in the driving seat and controlling the flow of the game and making the right decisions.
Some interesting pylon placement here for Best. Putting 3 pylons down at the bottom left part of the map. I guess he's going to take that base there, but setting up those spotter pylons early here, suspecting that we might see a dropship out of Royal, but that's not what's coming. He's playing completely standard. He's getting his double factory plus upgrades rolling here, and getting prepared for that late game Terran versus Protoss. I doubt that we'll see a quick push here. I doubt that we'll see, 5 factory play. I think we're just going to have the absolute standard. I think we're going to have Starport here is thrown down soon, and a 3rd CC coming up soon after that.
Yeah, I really do like this from Best, though. Setting up, he kind of misread the situation, though. He's kind of guessed that it was going to be some kind of vulture drop. But I do like this idea from Best to kind of negate any potential threat of that and make sure he scoured it no matter what. As a result, though, he needs to come down here and make sure he doesn't lose any more than this 1 pylon. And ideally, he would want to lose this single pylon, but it looks like he might. The Dragoons are going to maybe able to avoid this 1 mine and volley back these vultures just barely in the nick of time. 30 HP on that pylon, waiting to the absolute last moment to come in and save that pylon. So won't be worried about getting supply blocks or anything like that for the time being. Now going to be throwing down Citadel of the Dune to get his tech starting to go, with another forge on the way as well. So in a science facility for Royal, both players teching up as fast as possible now after getting these early macro leads.
Now this game has accelerated kind of through the early game all the way to the mid-late game here, with +2 going to be starting up. As soon as this +1 is done, Royal is going to have a massive supply very, very soon. More factories coming up here, and he's going to start to prepare to take this 3rd base. And where is he going to take the 3rd base? That's going to be the big question. How is Best going to try and punish? That is, of course, going to be the decision maker in this game. Best deciding how this one is going to go as a response. Will he be throwing down the earlier Storm upgrade? Will he be getting into very quick Storm? I think that's been the standard recently. Going for not only Zealot drops, but also Storm drops on the moving out tanks as he tries to push into this third base. Not a lot of defense here for Royal. He's really gamed this out nicely. Just creating the minimum amount of defenses back at home and getting some run bys here as well. Gonna get 3 probes right off the bat. A 4th goes down and a 5th. Pretty decent damage there for Royal for just 2 vultures that have already used up their mines as well.
Yeah, those 2 vultures got infinitely more value than they perhaps should have. It was a little bit fortunate for Royal that cannon was just warping in at that time, so weren't able to clear up those vultures as fast as they would like to. Now see a shuttle follow up on the left side of the map as well, but there is a Goliath here to try and ward that way. Zealot's being dropped out with the Scarab as well, gets 2 of those SCVs, and the shuttle going to be retreating out after taking a Terran boosted missile volley from that Goliath, reducing it to 52 health as well. So good job from Royal there, not taking too much damage to his SCV line. But it's still, any damage is still significant damage here for the Terran player, especially if the Reaver remains alive and viable and ready for action once the Terran player wants to move out. So it's going to be tough for Royal to decide when he wants to be out. It looks like Best is just going to commit to a full main assault with this shuttle, sacrificing it, getting on top of the siege tank in the mineral line, and now starting to go to town on these SCVs. Takes out 3 of those SCVs with the first shot. For another 3 as well. So that was 15 kills on that Reaver in total. Pretty impressive from Best. I don't usually see him commit to his Reaver control very well. He likes to just kind of like make a big decision to commit and like trade the units off the board to simplify, because he doesn't want to have to worry about the multitasking of it, as someone like Snow would maybe try and achieve. So Best kind of trying to simplify the game state right now in true guerrilla-like fashion, I would say.
Yeah, just busting in there, throwing down a 2nd robotics facility as well. Very interesting stuff. More probes going to go down, though. Royal evening out the odds here a little bit, but that was some serious damage in the main base. I was not expecting so many SCVs to be going down there. It felt like Royal actually made the situation worse the way that he pulled away from those units. Now coming in with 1 more Reaver. Does get another great shot there. 5 more kills. Is that worth it for a Reaver, shuttle, and 2 Zealots? I think it might be. Just barely, though, because Best has some really good economy rolling right now.
It's only worth it if he can not lose too many Dragoons to this push, and he needs to make sure that he can punish this base eventually. He should be able to do so, as long as he doesn't risk having to trade off too many units to come into this position in a few moments. Then maybe he could do a lot of damage to Royal here as he tries to take this 3rd, but losing that Reaver makes it a lot more challenging for him to threaten a counterattack to this 3rd base now. So Royal's really feeling a lot safer. Another shuttle going to be coming in, though. This could be another follow-up Reaver or High Templars of Storm, potentially, if he got the Storm research really quickly. But it's going to be another oh, it is the Storm. Yeah, okay, so beautiful Storm coming down on those transferring SCVs, killing about 4 or so. Not the bestest of storms, but it doesn't really matter. Any damage is critical damage to Royal right now. He's not really mining in his main mineral line as efficiently as he would like to, so he's kind of like 1.5 base economy right now, which is really not ideal for Royal, and he's going to be able to kill this shuttle in the main base, but not before losing some SCVs and a lot of mining time. Now we've got these poor man recalls that are going to be coming from Best, loading up a big amount of shuttles to either dive bomb onto the tanks with Zealots or go into the main base for a big poor man recall if he so chooses as well. So a lot of flexibility and best decision making with these units he has available to him. Currently 3 speed shells, a lot of Zealots and Goose. He can also just crack open this Terran position at the 3rd base, which is what he does so well. He's what he's known for. Here comes the Silverback Gorilla, ready to rip him apart, saying,
yeah, here we go. Big storm's gonna be thrown down on big groups of units here. Huge storms dealing a ton of damage. And the Zealots are going to be able to run through this. Another round of Zealots going to be pushing forward. A lot of the Dragoons have fallen. Another storm comes down. Not the best one, though, from Best. He is going to possibly pick off this command center, though. All the tanks have been killed, except for this one tank here in the back. Will he lose it to that Zealot? No. That last tank does survive, and that may just be enough to save the command center. Royal loses a huge chunk of his army, though, and he is limping right now here in this game. Best rallying forward more and more Zealots, may be able to crush through. Oh god, Command center's so low. Can he just go for it? 100 HP, 37. He's gonna get it. No, that was so close.
So close. Didn't quite get the command center. It got down to so low. Say that was insane. Oh, I can't blame him for trying to go for that. It was such a good repair from Roy. Here comes the storm drop in the natural expression. A beautiful storm on all of those SCVs. So many, 16 kills. So many SCVs went down right now. That's completely crippled Royal's economy. He's going to take him a long time to catch up to that. Now Best, with this big, powerful economy of his own, he's going to be up to 5 bases soon. Going to be sending a lot of units out onto the map, getting ready to pressure more and more. Currently ahead by 40. So supply Best looking phenomenally good in this matchup. Now doing a big transfer of probes to that north base in the top right quadrant of the map. Also going to be wanting to set up some gateway production in that top right. Get a big, strong rally point set up there as well. So there's more than one rally point for Royal to have to worry about, even if he can come out on the map to do something about the onslaught of Best right now. The Silverback Gorilla is starting to get even more stronger. He's just munching on those leaves in the jungle, getting bigger and bigger, saving his energy, just waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And Royal dares to try and hack his way into that jungle with his Terran machetes. Eventually, Best is just going to come in there and rip him to pieces.
I think we're going to see Terran go out first in this week of KCM. That's crazy. These are some of the most frustrating Terran versus Protoss games, though, is the ones where the constant harassment puts you into a deficit, and the Protoss takes up a huge portion of the map. Just makes you feel so powerless here as the Terran player. He's got a nice setup here with lots of mines and a lot of tanks behind this, but there's going to be so many storms coming down here. Zealot bombs over everything coming forward with those storms. He's going to start to throw them down. Nice D-Matrix by Rule to keep that tank alive as long as possible. He's only repaired this CC up to 600 HP. It's a little bit scary, but he does force everything back. The Silverback Gorilla running forward, challenging the Terran player, but does eventually retreat into the forest. Gonna be taking another base up in the top right-hand corner, forcing the unsiege here for now.
There's going to be a few false charges from Best as he challenges the nerve of the Terran standing before him. Can he maintain his posture? He needs to be able to weather the storm when the gorilla comes in and takes a swipe at his leg. Is he going to flinch and show weakness, or is he going to stand strong in the face of such overwhelming strength and adversity? Will he be able to hold his own against the onslaught of this player, or will he fold like a pretzel? It's going to be coming up in a moment because it looks like it's time to strike. Here comes the Silverback Gorilla ready for round 2. It's time for some big fists of doom as he just hammers on this Terran army. Sonic Storms and Zealot Sideblades absolutely ripping apart the Terran, and not much Royal can do here as the Silverback Gorilla kind of makes short work of him, throwing him around like a ragdoll. The false charges worked. He realized that the Terran wasn't a threat. He can come in here and just mop the floor with him. GG called from Royal. Silverback Gorilla reigning supreme here, taking out the big powerhouse Terran lineup.
Okay, our final match of the night. It's gonna be Best versus Sulky here on Dark Origin. Could be a fun match. And guys, if you've got a moment, well, you've got a moment right now. Go ahead and drop down to the description. Make sure to check out KCM. Go ahead and give his video a like. Make sure he knows that he has support from the English audience and that we appreciate him allowing us to cast in English his tournament. Also, it's always a pleasure to have Shun on the cast, so make sure to check out his channel as well. Give him a like, check out his stream. We're streaming this live right now on his channel, so you can get a preview there if you're interested. Get a little bit of the what's it, the backstage access. See what it's like. See what it is like behind the scenes here at the KCM on the CNSC channel. And yeah, we really appreciate having you on here, Shun. So go ahead and check him out. Give him a like. Give him a subscribe.
Thanks, guys. A pleasure to be here. We do see the drone moving all the way to the third to throw down the hatchery there instead. We'll be able to throw that down before the probe is able to block. If he tried to take the natural expansion, it'd be much easier for him to block the hatchery from going down. So it looks like he wanted to guarantee the hatchery placement by sending it to the third, and Best was just not quite able to intercept with the probe. Would have been a great block from him though. If he was able to block the hatchery from going down, it would be pretty frustrating for Soki. He'd have to send another drone from the main down to the natural to try and remake that instead, and that would slow his mining down, and also would have made him lose out on a little bit of a timing there as well. So good job from him not having to worry about that. It's like Best being pretty active with this probe as well, trying to be a little bit annoying. Maybe you can get the block on this hatchery too with this probe, but the drone wisely going to be taking some shots on that drone. You do need to do 2 hits for free on this probe before being able to beat it in a 1v1. That's why you saw him so adamant about getting some hits on that probe right away. And it looks like Best's response to being struck by the acid spines of the drone going to be to throw down the pylon to block this anyway while the Zealot comes in. So going to be slowing down this hatchery from being placed critically, and have the Zealot now come in to start bullying these drones and forcing more and more links to be put into production. Maybe me able to get some drone kills here with this Zealot while he's distracted from trying to place down this hatchery, which is being beautifully blocked right now by Best, while this Zealot gets into the main mineral line and put a lot of pressure here. 4 links are hatching, but will it be enough to stop this Zealot? Beautiful drill from Sulky, going to be doing a good job of bullying away that Zealot, forcing it to the back of the mineral line.
Yeah, great drill there by Solky. Looks like Best may be able to slip out for a second, but no. Getting blocked by those drones in the gas geyser will lose that Zealot, not dealing any damage, and it just only barely slowing down the natural base from being taken. That was impressive play from Sulky. You know, he was microing not only the lings in the main, but he was also microing those 2 drones to try and get that hatchery down, and did a great job on both fronts, getting the hatchery down and preventing that Zealot from dealing any damage. He's looking very good here, and putting on some pressure of his own now over towards Best and Natural. He's going to be able to hit this gateway, it looks like, and threaten the kill on these Zealots, threaten the run by as well. 3 probes have been pulled. 3 Zealots are here as well to fight, but this gateway is starting to get a little bit low, and we've got a good number of lings here to jump on top of this. Really nice round here from Sulky. He's going to kill a couple of these Zealots really fast. 2 Zealots go down. The probes are dealing a lot of extra damage. And the lings are actually going to run by. Nice job. Really smart play here by Sulky. Picking off as many Zealots as he can and then getting the run by into the main.
Yeah, Sulky's like the Marcus Aurelius of the Zerg force. Like, he's able to remain calm under pressure with that huge level of stoicism, and then find his way into small advantages while going into the big power full late game that he wants to set himself up for, since he's such a macrocentric player. We see the probe scout getting into the main, going to be confirming the exact timing of the lair and making sure everything is there where it should be. But meanwhile, these lings going to town on these probes. If he's not careful, he might start losing a couple of these probes. He needs to get this Zealot back into that line and start dealing with those Zerglings, or he may be at risk of losing a few of these probes to these Zerglings. 3 lings do a lot of damage. But look at this Zealot also sneaking into the third base. A lot of multitasking being done from both sides here. Looks like Sulky's on top of everything though, has enough units in position to do this, gets on top of the probe line and does take out another one of those probes, not before the side blades connecting with one of those lings on the exit though, so we'll be reducing those lings down to a count of 2. Did manage to trade 1 Zealot for 4 lings in the third base location as well, behind the mineral field, but now this cannon warping in the main base is going to pretty much negate any further harassment being done in the main base. But the lings kind of did their job. They harassed the Protoss players, restricted their ability to focus, and got a little bit of damage done with the probe kills as well, and lost mining time and forcing an early cannon. So I would say overall that was pretty successful attack from Sulky. He's going to be able to come down to natural and kill a probe or 2 as well here if he's not quick enough to pull off the line.
Yeah, there we go. 1 probe, 2 probes. Oh my god, he almost got a third one as well. 2 HP on that. That was fantastic from Sulky. And I can't explain how hard it is to do all of this at the same time, to hit your macro, to defend against the Zealots, and to keep lings alive in the main, dealing damage, forcing the probes to move. It's impressive the way Best was holding that off up until those couple of probes went down at the end, but I mean, it's just so hard to get all this going at the same time. It's 2 Stargate to follow up here. I am shocked by Best going for this play. I don't think this is really the best style of PVZ, don't you think? I think this is more of a Bisu thing, right?
Right, yeah, it's definitely not usually what Best would want to go for here. I think it's just a meta play to try and get one over Sulky. It is definitely the kind of thing we'd see more out of someone like Bisu. But it is kind of a meta thing to do right now, I guess. Says a lot seems to be really popular right now amongst the pros. It looks like they want to kind of put a lot of pressure on the Zerg early. I don't like it entirely though, because I feel like some small mistakes with the Corsairs in the early game, like now he needs to be really careful with these first 2 Corsairs. If he gets caught off by these other pair of Scourge, there's 2 Scourge on an intercept course right now. With this Corsair, he needs to adjust his vector, does manage to do so, but now 1 Scourge will connect after losing that momentum from the turn angle, so needs to be careful now. Always has 1 Scourge connecting on him and needs to recover enough shields before the other Scourge will be able to kill him, so he's going to try and get back into the main base with that the Corsair. But meanwhile, these Zealots are pressuring this 3rd base location. There is enough drones and lings here to deal with this, but they could be losing quite a sizable amount of them in the trade still. So looks like Best's doing a good job of trading as efficiently as he can. Now starting to shuffle back to this ramp area to try and get better surface area and get as many of these lings killed as possible, so he can then put pressure onto the drone line yet again while the Hydras are trying to hatch out. And another Zealot sneaking into the natural, going to be going straight onto the drone line again, saying doing more and more damage here.
Oh, wow. 2 drones here in the natural. This is a beautiful move from Best to get this Zealot into the natural while all of that craziness was going on over there at the 3rd. Sulky losing some drones here, losing some lings as well, and now the Corsairs are coming out in a massive number. But does he have enough back at home to hold this Hydralisk push? There's 3 cannons warping in. They're not going to be done in time, I think, and all the Zealots are dead, so there's only a couple that have been popped out here. Oh god, Sulky, he's paying attention back at home. He needs to actually jump forward here and kill this cannon. He can get this cannon for free. He gets it. So 1 cannon goes down. He should be able to get the wall from here, but I don't think he's going to be able to bust through.
Yeah, I think there's just barely enough cannons here that he will not be able to bust through, but he may be able to get the snipe on this forge if he targets it, but he's not quite targeting manually with these Hydras enough to get it. This cannon is going to be warping in time, so it might be a situation where he just barely saves the forge. It's going to be hard to say for sure. I think he will still get it. But look how many cannons are being warped in for Best right now. He's really respecting the possibility of just being overrun right now. I'm not sure that's the right call. He's going to cancel a few of them, which is the right decision. And definitely shouldn't have let them all finish, because he did not need that many cannons at that stage. So each one of those cannons could have been a potential gateway. So don't want to be making too many of those. It needs to be going up to 7 or 8 gateways as fast as possible, so that you have enough units to push out onto the map to not only threaten the Zerg, but also take your own 3rd base.
Both players taking their lumps here in the early game. I think that Best has gotten a few more punches in, though, than Sulky. He's managed to kill quite a few Overlords. He supply blocked Sulky for quite a long time, kind of at the time, really critical time, where Sulky wanted to be producing drones. So slowing that down constitutes a lot of damage here for the Zerg player, onto the Zerg player, I mean. And a DT sneaking out around the side of the map. If he can get any more drone kills here, it's going to be putting him further and further ahead. Overlord going to fall. I think we're about finished with the Corsair play. There's 5 Corsairs here, 4 Corsairs here. And I don't think we're going to see too many more produced, because we've really fully switched on into Lurker Hydra production for Sulky now. There's no chance that we're going to see, I think, a meterless switch unless all of these Corsairs go down. Then it becomes more of a possibility, but I just don't see that happening. Still moving around the map here. Oh, going to get caught once again, lowering that down to just 3. Dark Templar moving over to the left-hand side. Gonna look for some kills here. I don't think that Sulky has totally reacted to this just yet. So might end up getting a little bit of damage.
Yeah, there's 4 Hydras here, which will be able to mop up this Dark Templar, but not before getting like 4 or so kills. So really, actually cost efficient to get 4 drones there with that Dark Templar. In an ideal world, there's no Hydras there, and you kill a bunch of drones, or at least force all the drones off the line and deny mining. But that's a pretty big win either way. Looks like a shuttle at risk of being spotted by the Scourge, but Scourge have such a short sight range, like a tiny little ring around them, so it's very easy to navigate around the Scourge if you're at a maximum distance from them. Obviously, they have a very fast movement speed, so unless you have shuttle speed, it's going to be hard for you to avoid their range if they're on the same trajectory as you. But it looks like he's just going to barely skirt around this, but now he sees the shuttle. He can go back to intercept with the Scourge. Hydras are trying to buy some time for the Scourge to get a connection, and will be able to do so. But the DT does manage to get out of the shuttle before being taken out at the very least, but will be hunted down by these speed overlords and Hydras. It looks like actually they're going the wrong way, and the Hyducta are trying to sneak around and get away. And the Lurkers coming in to try and catch out these rallied Zealots coming up to the northeast quadrant to try and support this Dark Templar, but going to be taking a lot of damage on those Zealots and losing the Dark Templar to boot. So really kind of getting punished there is best, as now he's giving up a lot of territory for free as Sulky comes down, sets up a nice big Lurker contain on these flanks on the right hand side on that choke point, and also on these 3 bridges leading out into the center of the map here. So pretty good map control from Sulky, going to be forcing Best into a cost inefficient trade, I think.
Yeah, this is a great way to play on Dark Origin, setting up a bunch of lurkers across the bridges, and then on that right hand side making sure that Bez cannot easily move out. Of course, he's going to snag this 3rd base pretty much for free, but then the real problem is going to come when he tries to move out on the map. Sulky is going to have so much economy behind this. He's already got the 4th base up and running. His lurker spread is kind of crazy. We're going to try to move forward here as best, but this is such a hard location to push through, and diving directly onto that observer there. Beautiful play from Sulky, just using a few Hydras to skirt forward, snipe a few units, and then run back. Scourge picks off the observer, and that completely shuts down this move out from Best.
Yeah, Best is kind of going to be stuck for a little while. He's going to have to start skirmishing at a distance while he's taking this 3rd and getting that online, but it's going to be tough for him going forward. He's going to have to probably max out before he tries to break out. He's going to try and use some Dragoons to range down a few of these Lurkers that are in a bit more of a precarious situation, but eventually the positioning will be too hard for him to be efficient with, and he will have to take on a head-on fight into this choke point, which will not be good for him. He's trying to squeeze out onto the map with a shuttle, which is going to be bound by these 3 Hydras, which were quite adequately placed in the center gap, which could have been a good line of attack to thread the needle and sneak out a shuttle, but not able to do so. Hold the phone because Best going to try to get his way out onto the map with his big gorilla-like fashion, just try and ape his way out onto the map with these Dragoons, trying to just hammer down onto these Lurkers before the reinforcements can show up. He's doing a good job of sniping off some of these Lurkers, and the goal right now is just to remove as many of these Lurkers from this position as possible, so there's just mainly Hydras remaining, so the Psionic Storm have more potential to break out later. But right now Sulky doing a great job of following up on that pressure by sniping off all of those High Templars on the retreat as well. So Sulky kind of coming out really far ahead on these trades, kind of racing ahead in supply as well. 167 to 159. Looks like Sulky's in total control of this game if he can just mitigate any damage being done to him elsewhere.
Yeah, he's doing a great job here. It looks like a lot of these Hydras are going to go down, but the reinforcements in this position are a legion. So many Hydras here behind this. He doesn't have as many lurkers on that right-hand side anymore, but still, there's no way you're pushing through here as Best. It's just way too hard. He's gonna have to find another vector here of escape. Maybe is there any possibility of moving through the bottom side of the map, the bottom part of the map, and trying to get over here to this bottom left, like kill off that temple and try to move out that way?
Yeah, I mean, Sulky knew that that would be an avenue for Best to go for. He had some Hydras down there earlier as well, ready for that maneuver to maybe mitigate that. But it looks like that's not even going to be a factor right now. Sulky's even going to take that base himself while Best is trying to break out on this eastern flank yet again. This 9 o'clock position going to be the hot contention point. The heat map would be really bright red here if you were to analyze the map right now. Pretty much everything has happened in this little small junction of the map, and so many Sonic Storms have been blanketing these Hydras, but it doesn't matter. There's just so much Hydras ready to come in and lay down the fire on the remaining units after the Sonic Storms have dried up, and Sulky does still maintain his game state while producing more and more units. It looks like so far Best has done an okay job of slightly removing the advantage that Sulky had in those supply counts, and is breaking out from this high ground position. So actually Best, if he can get out on this high ground position and prevent Sulky coming back up here, maybe he can make something work here. But hold the phone for just 1 second, because right now he's going to be coming into this third base location with these Hydra Lurker, set up another closer contain to this choke point while trying to snipe down and kill all of these probes that are being transferred, and maybe getting the snipe off on these High Templars. Oh, this is a beautiful play from Sulky, forcing out Panic Storms from Best as well. So right now Sulky's getting away with murder, killing all these transferring probes pretty much for free, while he's coming in here and harassing the Best rally points and trying to do as much damage as possible in this small window where Best was completely out of position. It looks like he might be able to be effective in doing so, because all the Dragoons are completely melting right now.
Yeah, Best tried to leave a portion of his units up on that high ground to hold that position, which he took so long to take, which was so difficult to secure, but now he's pulled back everything, and Sulky can actually rotate once again, send his reinforcing units over to that fourth base and try to shut that down. Best quickly rotating himself over towards that high ground there. Gonna try to actually, this DT is gonna distract a little bit for Sulky, and push his drones away and force him. Oh, actually, Best, you can't move out here, can you? I don't think Best can move out here. I think he needs to stay and hold this fourth base.
Yeah, I think he does need to stay and hold the fourth base. I think he can leave this position. This is like the position he has to hold right now. If he gives up this position one more time, I think it'll be impossible for him to break out again, unless he's got a sizable enough death pool to do so. And right now Sulky's on even supply of him, so that'd be pretty unwise for him to give up this high ground position and give that back to Sulky without forcing him to trade resources to do so. So yes, I think very much so Best will have to take a very defensive turtle position at this fourth base location, while also still maintaining some kind of control over the bridges here. But it's going to be really tough to do both of those things as Sulky gets bigger and bigger. We now see a Dark Temper coming into the south west side of the map. There is 3 Hydras to kill that, but maybe he will be able to snipe 1 or 2 drones for his effort.
Yeah, it looks like just a couple of drones here, but a drop in the bucket for Sulky. He's got so many drones around this map. He's got so many bases secured right now, and Best, I mean, just barely clinging on to life with this fourth base. He's got it up, he's got that income, so he's secured the near future here, but he's still in a lot of trouble. He's still gonna have a hard time closing this one out against Sulky, who's grown so large. He's able to really turtle up these areas. You can see now adding on so many sunken colonies. This is going to be incredibly difficult to break through. And Best, I mean, where do you attack towards from here? I feel like it's almost time to cut down that temple down at the bottom left and try to take the base in the bottom left just through, you know, reinforcements while skirmishing up here in the top right. I don't think you're going to be able to take this base though up here in the top right. It seems nearly impossible to me. Uh-oh, drone's getting stuck back here. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate. It's actually, yeah, it's really tough, because if he goes to the temple side of things, he then risks like not being able to win the skirmish on the fourth base location. So you kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's like Best is going to consolidate everything at the ramp of this fourth base location and wants to just start fighting the Zerg head on, ready to skirmish. He's now almost maxed out, but so is the Zerg, raced ahead in supply by 20. Nearly maxed out Zerg is a very scary thing to have to deal with. He has 3 armor, 2 attack upgrades to the Zerg. Zergs, I believe it was a moment ago, 2 attack to 1 Carapace. I imagine there'll be more upgrades on the way for the Zerg player. But right now, there is a sizable upgrade lead for Best. So now is the time to strike. He can get as much value. All 2-2 just finished up for Sulky, so not quite the upgrade advantage that Best might want here, but it still should be a decent position for him. There's no melee upgrades on these Lings yet, so as long as he starts to fight soon, there may be a small glimmer of hope for him trading efficiently against this Zerg force. But there's going to be so much for him to have to contend with. It's going to be an uphill battle for sure. There is even an Archon to here to soak up some of these Lings. Beautiful Sonic Storm going to be mitigating the majority of those for the time being, but it doesn't matter because anything that Sulky's losing, he's just immediately replacing and going straight back up to 200 supply. How much lava he's got, he can just keep flooding more and more Lings. We now have Defilers out in the center of the map. They're going to be starting to chain plague this Protoss army too. It's going to be really rough for Best here.
Surely Best doesn't think that he can take the middle. No, he's actually mining out these back minerals now. Okay, so he is going to send a force through and try to take this bottom left. I feel like that's the only real option here for Best. Like, he has to get down here, kill this base in the bottom left, take that and split the map in half, take it to the ultra late game where he could potentially actually get a win, because if he tries to throw himself into the middle, I think he's just going to get completely slaughtered. Sulky just has so much money, he has so much so much supply. All of these lurkers are going to make their way over this high ground. It's not the bulk of Sulky's army, but his army is on standby here in the middle of the map. The moment that Best starts to break through here, I think the entirety of Sulky's army is going to make its way down. Picks off the Observer there. That's very, very annoying. Now Best can't actually fight these very well-positioned lurkers here, and the sunken colonies are doing just huge work against all of these Dragoons trying to run up this ramp. It looks like he's not going to be able to break through here. I guess he's not going to be able to get down into the bottom left after all.
Yeah, I had a feeling it'd be really tough for him to do so. There was an element of surprise that could have been used. Look at that beautiful plague on all of that Protoss infantry. It's going to be so rough for him going forward, having to deal with all this chili sauce just being plastered all over his units, making them both spicy and tasty at the same time. Unfortunately for the Zerg, they're not able to consume the biomass of the Protoss to gain like their life force, so to speak, but they are still able to tear them apart and have fun killing them, so I'm sure they're going to do that anyway.
Everything's been plagued. Everything's been plagued here. Oh my god, Best army being reduced to just 1 HP on all of those units. He's spreading out everything. I guess he's sending the entirety of the army up here now. And immediately Sulky gonna react by sending some units across into the rally point here. Looks like that's gonna be eaten up. Just a few Lings and a Defiler. You know, nothing to worry about, except if that gets up towards your cannons and he throws down a Dark Swarm and a few Lings run forward. That is gonna do a lot of damage. He's trying it once again. Coming forward here, just going to throw down a plague. Sees that there's some rallies here. This is a constant threat. If Sulky just sends a group of Lings towards your third or your natural, drops the Dark Swarm, that base could just die.
Yeah, but what's even more scarier is that how does Best fight against a Zerg that's not only maxed out right now, but has a bank like this? He has like 4,000 minerals, 3,000 gas. As soon as he loses anything, he's just going to be throwing down crazy tons of units to replenish in all of these eggs that he's got at his disposal. Now he's going to be racing forward to try and buy a little bit of time by throwing down more and more plagues onto this army, making it even more softened up for him to gobble up later. It's such a weakened army from Best now. He's maxed out at 200, but a lot of his units have no hit points, and 3-3 is now finished up for Sulky. All this time he was catching up in upgrades as well, so Sulky was getting stronger in the upgrade game as well. Best has lost pretty much any advantage that he had. There was a little window earlier where he had the upgrade advantage, but that is no longer going to be the case. So many Psionic Storms trying to keep these Zerg forces at bay. Best doing what he can with the energy to try and be as efficient as possible to blow up as many of these Zerg units before they can come in to clean up his army. But it doesn't really matter because there's not going to be enough storms to blanket all of these units, and eventually Sulky's going to come in here and tear off the head of this Silverback Gorilla.
Yeah, he's looking a little impotent right now. Not really much he can do. aside from sit here and just eat those plagues over and over again, basting in the chili sauce. His army has been reduced just so brutally here, dropping down in supply once again. You can see every time a unit gets killed for Sulky, instantly replenishing that supply, sitting at 199 here. He's got all the army he needs in reserve. Gonna drop some Dark Swarm now and shove back a best. He's slowly edged himself forward here over time, just pressing forwards little bit by little bit, and immediately Sulky moves forward and retakes that tiny bit of space that's been recovered. Lot of lurkers here in the middle. Look at how many lurkers there are stacked up here. That would be some beautiful storms, but not ever gonna make it to that location, I don't think. Best, he's gonna be stopped right here, right now. But just Sulky not giving any ground whatsoever.
He's doing a really fantastic job of holding the center and like playing a very stellar game and not needing to take any unnecessary risks and really just grinding down best to a nub right now, chopping down all of the trees that surround him. There's not much jungle for Best to play with anymore. He's trying to recover as best as he can, but there's not really much time for respite here. He's getting absolutely blown apart every time he tries to step outside of his comfort zone. And unfortunately for him, that comfort zone is going to get smaller and smaller as now the Zerg is going to creep up on top of these positions with the Dark Swarm, and the cannons are not going to be effective at all with these Dark Swarm, the big orange clouds of death. So, Archons will have splash damage, Psionic Storms will be able to do something underneath these Dark Swarms, and the side blades of the Zealots obviously will do a sizable amount to some of the units here, but the Dragoons are now going to be mostly useless. The cannons are now going to be mostly useless. It's going to get worse and worse for Best here going forward.
Yeah, and as Best starts to dry up, there's always the opportunity. There's always the opportunity for Sulky to run into the natural and just start to take out the main. But for now, he's just going to continue to barrel down on top of Best's army here, trying to break through and confront him directly. A lot of Archons are stacked up here. Lurkers getting some serious damage on that, but still getting cleared out little bit by little bit. Back up to 187 supply is Sulky. Even after throwing away all of those Lurkers, he's still got massive follow-up here. We haven't seen any Ultralisk or anything like that, but he absolutely could. He's got so much bank, but I don't think he's going to take the risk. Just continue with this Lurker play. Continue to max out Lings and Lurkers and just fight constantly with Best here. Never allow him an inch outside of this fourth base to get himself on the map and actually deal any damage or take another base.
Right, it's currently going to be a 3-base economy to 1-base economy for Best. Is going to be really tough for him to keep up. Now it's going to be all but dried up. The gas is just not going to be coming in for Best so much longer as well, so it'll be really tough for him to continuously make all these Archons and High Templars and Dragoons that he's been fielding this entire time. It's going to be much more difficult for him to build up those forces yet again. It's going to be really tough for him now that we got these Dark Swarmed Lurkers right up against the cliff edge as well, starting to lay siege to this expansion area and deny the mining on these leftmost patches. So all those probes going down to that Lurker as well. 8 kills on that Lurker before it finally died. There's another Lurker there underneath that Dark Swarm as well, forcing more and more storms onto these Lurkers as he comes in and denies more and more mining, preventing any kind of units besides mainly High Templars being produced right now, as there's not really a lot of minerals coming in for him, and he doesn't want to have to make mostly Zealots right now. Zealots are not going to be the kind of cost-efficient units that he needs to come back in this game. And Queens coming out from Sulky, really not messing around anymore, starting to get a little bit more creative with the potential Broodling value of the late game stage, of being able to clear up some of these Protoss units for free with the Broodling trades. It does take 2 minutes for that energy to build up those, so it's going to be a long time before we see the likes of Broodlings, but it's going to be a potentiality here if Best tries to stay in the game.
Yeah, 12 Queens. Oh, this is so dirty. 12 Queens are going to be able to Broodling every single Templar in this army. And once you've removed the ability to storm here, what are you going to do against the continuous Lurkers that are being placed at the bottom of this this ramp here at the bottom of this cliff? that have been killing the probes over and over again. I mean, the income right now from Best is just dismal. He's got like no income coming in. He's lost so many probes. He's going to continue to be forced to storm over and over and over again on this low ground. One by one moving forward and resetting this this position here, resetting with these orange clouds. And the moment that he's got enough energy on these queens, he's going to come up and clear all of these Templar, and that should be checkmate.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot more Best can do here. He's really starting to dry up. Sulky's going to start forcing the issue a bit more here, throwing in more Ling and Lurker into the mix. There is a finite amount that Best can do here. It'll be really tough for him to hold on forever, and one of the weakest defended positions is this natural expansion of his as well. So if he wanted to, he could start sending control groups of Lings into the main base of Best as well. But it looks like right now he's just happy with assaulting him, and now we see the Broodlings starting to come out and picking apart some of these High Templars. The writing's on the wall for Best right now. There's no way he can stabilize and win this game from now on. I'm sure he's going to try his absolute hardest because he knows that Sulky's technically going to be mined out right now, or at least will be mined out shortly, but there's no way he can trade efficiently against this huge Zerg army that's now streaming into him.
Yeah, he's pushing forward once again. The Archons are going to come out and try to fight, but being forced back now onto the high ground even. He can't even hold this position outside of the fourth anymore. Lings are going to be sent en masse towards that natural. Eventually, he will break the main. Even with just pure Ling, he should be able to get in there with that 4,000 gas bank, or with that 4,000 mineral bank, excuse me. There's just no way that Best can hold on against the onslaught of Zerg Lings that are constantly coming forward. Another snipe there with the queens. He's gonna start to just snipe queens as they're coming. Oh man, that's so frustrating. Everything that's popping out for Best is just getting sniped by these queens now. He's got enough queens where the energy is constantly gonna be going up. He's always gonna have snipes for them, and Bez is just running out of space here, being pushed all the way back up onto the high ground. Clouds are coming down right in the face, and he will be forced to tap out here. Sulky gonna take this week and give Zerg the win that they've been searching for so long.
Oh, it's about time, saying. Look at this interesting. You don't see this every day. Stormed queens. You don't see that very often. Interesting sight to behold. Now it looks like there's a few Archons trying to desperate hold. It's like the defensive ire or something, like really struggling to hold on here, but it's looking pretty bleak. I don't know. I think ire ends up getting blown apart in the end. GG called from Best. Finally, looks like the beast has been slain. Zerg finally reigning supreme in this week.
Okay, taking a look at our point rankings. Zerg making the comeback here, making it look a little bit more even in week number 5. It looked like Terran was starting to run away with things, getting 3 consecutive wins in a row, but Zerg now taking this lead, and Terran getting knocked out first means that we're getting close here. We could actually see a turnaround. Anything is possible here in week 6, 7, and 8. Any of these races could take that top spot.
Yeah, each week, there's 3 more weeks, and each week one of these teams can get 2 points apiece, or at least 1 point if they come in the runner-up spot. So everything's to play for right now, and they're really close in the pack in the middle. So be interesting to see if Zerg and Protoss can race out ahead of Terran. Terran kind of flatlining in week 5, giving kind of a bit of a chance for Protoss and Zerg to catch up, as we see a very close distribution on the board right now between these 3 teams. Anything could happen in these next 3 weeks. Could be very exciting as all 3 teams now scramble to come up with creative ways of securing that guaranteed finalist spot and force the other 2 teams to have to battle it out.
Big moment here in this week was Gamo taking down Rush. I think that upset is what potentially led to this Zerg victory. Unfortunately, Gameo didn't manage to get into the ASL. He got knocked out by Yoon and Action, respectively, in each week of the qualifiers. So he won't be participating, but had a pretty good showing here tonight. This is what I like to see, Shun, is Terran, Protoss, and Zerg all very tight in the race, all being represented here nicely, showing up for their squads right before the ASL. It's very exciting.
Oh, it's very exciting and it's promising. It gives me hope that not only are, like you say, the races are going to be represented evenly, but it means that we might see a very even, fair distribution of games going forward as well, where there's no real like clear domination from any particular race or player necessarily. You might see a rather eclectic sample of games with all three races involved in quite a lot of them.
Well, here's a good question for you. What's your favorite map of this season? What's your least favorite map?
It's hard to say. I kind of really like Apocalypse. I kind of really like the high ground peninsulas on Apocalypse and the interesting scenarios that map can afford. I haven't seen enough games on it to know fully how I feel about it, but right now I'm quite vibing with that map. The map I like the least is probably maybe something like Sylphid, just because even though I really like the map and it's a really great free player map, it doesn't have that same kind of fresh feel to it that some of these other maps do have. And I kind of feel like the flatness of it is desired because it adds variety to the map pool. But I feel like I've seen enough games on Sylphid that I don't find them as interesting as I do these other maps that we're currently experiencing.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like the map pool is very balanced, maybe just in terms of excitement. Sylphid may be the worst map in the pool. Personally, I think La Campanella is a bit of a weird map. I think we could see some great games there, but it's proving to be a bit of a disappointment so far, at least in the series in KCM. We may see that change in ASL. But guys, that is it for this week of the KCM. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're getting hyped for the ASL. Definitely go check out my other video where I recap the qualifiers and give you my predictions for the group stages. This is all backstory for that major tournament where we get to see how each player is performing, how these guys are matching up against each other before we get into that major 1v versus 1 tournament. And that is it. This has been your daily dose of Brood War. See you tomorrow.